Nerd could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerd could rise up. It could get elevated.
You know, I was gonna.
Nerdcore
Well, I
used to
guess
be
this
just
is
a
still the
made-up
Nerkie. So
word.
nerd.
Nerkie
It's
with Chris
a
and Kyle.
Nerkie. Nerkie with Chris and Kyle. So welcome to the Nerkie for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2.
Yeah.
This is Everyman's Guide to Yay! This is Everyman's Guide to Nerddom, where we are two 30 to 40 something year olds who talk about pretty much whatever we want. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle, and you guys might know us from the internet's online with the Twitches as KSig, that's me, it's K_Sig, and then Guyver UNT01, that's Chris, over to my, they're going to be my right, my left. I don't know, camera's kind of flipped. If you're watching on the YouTubes, he's the only other one on here, so he's on the other side of me.
So it doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
So this is Nerkie number 2. So we're gonna change it up just so you guys know the format here a little bit. I'm gonna be pretty busy. We have this big esports thing this next weekend. Kyle's got some work stuff and some personal stuff going on. So the Nerkie for next week will actually be, for episode 3, will be the regular. It won't be a bonus episode. It'll be the regular episode for next week, for our next regularly scheduled release. That may happen for the next week or two, until we can get caught up and do 2 episodes in 1 week again.
Yeah.
So don't expect a regular episode. I mean, technically this is a regular episode. We just do these for fun, though.
Yeah.
Well, we do all of it for
It's
fun.
all for fun. It's all for fun. But yeah, we try to keep it a little bit
for fun, but
you know, in the bank for so we're working ahead a little bit, because these for about every hour you guys watch, there's about 2 to 2.5 hours of stuff on the back end that goes with it. So it takes up some time. So occasionally we maybe be running a little bit slow, but all you guys that are hanging in with us, man, we appreciate it. Everybody watching and
really
comments and everything. So yeah, but we've got a pretty good one lined up today with Falcon and Winter Soldier episode number 2. So this is our second series of Nerkies, our second series of special content and things, where we're focusing on the MCU's new series releases. Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did it with WandaVision. If you guys haven't listened to those, go back. We got those. But we try to break these down. We go into a lot of detail on those. We got some theories. We talk about things that Chris knows and the things that I don't know. And it's pretty good stuff. I mean, I learn a lot through these. We come up with theories on the fly. We have some stuff on the go. Yeah, so it's we go through a lot of detail on this. So it's not your little quick 10-minute rundown of this is what happened in the show. Like, we're going to break it down. We're going to get into detail, and if that's your thing, then strap in and hang on, because we're going to do it.
Buckle up there, Bucky.
Buckle up, Bucky.
Buckle up, Bucky. Oh, we got another Sad Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how this is. We come up with theories and the backstories and stuff. I was wrong about episode 1, some of the backstory for US Agent, and I will freely admit I was wrong. So I will retract some of that. US Agent actually does have. You're going to hear this a lot too. Like I was telling Kyle earlier, that just shows you how much of a shit I don't give about US Agent. Like from the comic, he was always kind of a throwaway character for me. Not an excuse for getting it wrong. It's just I was wrong. But I just didn't remember, so I had to go back and reread a lot of my back issues and stuff, and go to the interwebs. But he did have superpowers. He had superhuman strength and agility, not quite Cap level, but it was up there.
It was pretty evident.
They described it as the highest level of Olympic.
Yeah, and it's pretty evident in this episode that he was above normal human, even above average human level athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
You see some of the scenes and stuff that he partakes in, and I don't know. I was just kind of wondering, like, I remember you talking last week about, so he was like maybe kind of a not as important. Like, I never had heard of him up to this point. And so it made me, and I don't dislike the character. Oh, okay. Well, there's a phrasing.
Yes,
I
you
guess.
do.
We talked about this pre-show a little bit. Marvel has a way of making you like characters that are not your typical likable characters. Like I can like a villain, and I can like a bad guy, and I can like a shitty, not shitty played, but just your bad guys, your villains and stuff. You can make a likable villain, and that's not saying that's like, a likable villain like people like Darth Vader. Like I hate this guy, I hate everything about him. Like you're passionate about it. I consider that a likable character because it's a believable character, and I think they maybe it's weird to bring out something kind of obscure like that.
Well, and who, Kyle? Here's the shirt for those of you that are watching. Who were you talking about before? Hold on, let's get in there.
Oh yeah. So
from this show, who were you talking about?
Director Dick. From
Director Dick.
Director. Oh God, I just forgot his name.
Tyler,
because we only referred to him as Director Dick through the whole thing we were talking about WandaVision.
He's Director Dick. That's his name. He's just Director Dick.
It's a character that you hate and that you love that you're able to hate that character. So I chalk him up as a likable, believable character, however you want to put it. Because when you can't just like the good guys. You can't just be drawn to you have to like, quote unquote, all the characters in the cast for it to work. And with US Agent, like, man, that first scene you just saw, like everybody immediately hated him. I'm like, okay, Marvel's going to do something cool with this, and so I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, it's that shit-eating smirk he had. I think that just did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not actually a shit-eating smirk. It's just, I think it's just his regular smirk.
Yeah.
Just because, he's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's boy. And he's, taller and better looking than me. So I immediately don't like him right now.
And
which is half the world.
There were people at Marvel that whenever they saw that take of that scene, that they're just going to be, that they were like, yeah, people are going to react to this. And any reaction,
I agree,
is good at this point because they played the long game. There's going to be something. I don't foresee him just handing over the shield I think that's what's going to happen by the end of the series is Sam's going to,
but not willingly is what you're saying.
I just don't think it's just going to be like, okay, well, I'm done. Here you go. Like, and then we're going to be done with US Agent unless they kill him off in the series, which I don't see that happening either. Well,
I don't. I think that they're going to keep him around for the next version of the Avengers at this point. You need a Cap-like character.
Yeah. Unless there's some falling out he has, because he's the same but different. He's got flashes of old school Cap, but then there's a little bravado and some more. He has a little bit more bravado and a little bit more arrogance than Cap had. But some of his speeches and things that he says are very Cap-like.
I think he's noble at heart. I think he really is. I think he has good.
I don't think he has bad intentions,
but I think he's smart, and so he's kind of he's not Cap smart. Where Cap was always like thinking 3 steps ahead. If you stepped with your right foot, Cap was already jumping 3 feet in front of you because he already predicted your next move. I think he's along the same lines, but I don't think he's that speed.
Well, and your difference is, so Cap was relying on street smarts, and the only training he had up to becoming a super soldier was what he had in basic training, which was geared to make him that was the intent from the beginning, to make him a super soldier. And so the only training he had was that, and then he went on and was the propaganda figure until he was actually needed. The difference here with the US Agent, like, he's got years of military training. He was a soldier before he became, Not
And the
saying I don't know if he
timeframe
was a
was
soldier before he became a super soldier, but he was a soldier before he became what we see him
Captain
as now.
America. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it was also a way different time period. You know, Steve was there. Basically, to me, Steve didn't have any schooling.
No.
He was. I mean, he was literally the school of Hard Knocks, where their school colors were black and blue, because he was. You know, he got in the fights all the time on the street. This guy, you'll find out later in the episode. We'll go more in depth into it. Whether you want to hear it or not, we're going to go in depth in it. He had actually schooling, and he went to some of the best schools you can get to. So, you know, I think there's a trade-off. I think there's a lot coming.
Yeah.
So in the comics, both Sam and Bucky were both Cap for a time.
Mhm.
I think it's going to go to Sam. That's my prediction as of right now. I think it's going to go to Sam.
Yeah, I haven't even considered it going to Bucky, honestly. I mean, it's a possibility, but I haven't even considered that.
Oh, in the comics, Bucky was a badass Cap. He had like this like black costume, almost like it had black on it. Like it looked really, really cool.
The difference I
Bucky
see with
had problems being Cap though.
There's I think a key difference between new Cap now and the Cap that we've had, you know, all the way up to this point is, you know, our original old school Cap was very, he had a different sense of patriotism. So he was very pro America and the old school sense of patriotism. Our new Cap now is still very patriotic, but he's also extremely pro government. What's the word I'm looking for?
He will follow through the orders no matter what. I
Right,
think is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
While the old Cap didn't necessarily trust the government. I mean, that look at Civil War.
Yeah.
Loved
but America, hated the government, or didn't hate the government, had a strong distrust for the government.
And that was Cap's thing. Cap was always questioning things. Was it, you know, is it a better way? Is, you know, does this mean that this freedom is, he was the most wholesome Cap you could get. He represented the time.
Yeah.
I think John Walker represents the time right now too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's old versus new. So let's get into it, or else we're never going to end this.
Yep. So,
this episode is called The Star Spangled Man, episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Did you start?
Yep. I mean, so we're, you know, the opening scene, you see it starts in a locker room, and this took me a minute. Like I went back and rewatched it a couple times.
You're going there. Okay.
Yeah. Cause I went past the previously on. So you're about a minute 15 in. You see a
zipper slowly unzipping.
Zipper slowly unzipping, and I was like, "Am I on the right channel?"
I don't remember paying for this.
What? Okay, well, hold on. And then you see John Walker going through.
I?
Did I? Disney Plus. So,
Disney After Dark.
And you know, you see they're in a football locker room, and you see John Walker going through. He peels. There's a nameplate on the locker, name sticker on there, and he peels it off, and you see his initials behind there. And
that poor kid. Couldn't find his locker after.
And so he gets he's having a little sit down talk with. Did he ever say her name?
No, not at the beginning.
Okay. But you know, she talks about, this is where you kind of realize that this is his old locker room. You don't know if it's like high school or college or what it is, but you know, she talks about sneaking in to meet him after the games, and
so we're assuming this is his wife at this point.
Yeah, it's a good assumption, I think.
Yeah.
And he's just talking. Walker goes into like immediately goes into talking about feeling the pressure that's been put on him now as the new Cap. If he's, you know, and you see some humbleness here. I feel this is pretty earnest from him, that he doesn't know if he's worthy, if he can hold this mantle, if he can live up to everybody's expectations, and there's all this pressure on him. But he's still going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think on that, it's one of the coolest things I think he says during this whole little dialogue he has with her is that I don't want to fail them. It's not I don't want to fail,
Right.
for myself. It's I don't want to fail them. And I think that was kind of driven home on this part. He wants to be Captain America. He wants to, as of right now,
Right.
that he wants to hold up the ideals of Steve Rogers.
Mhm.
That's what I got.
I think so. Because we find out later that, he, at least he says he idolized Steve. And I think he did.
I do too. Okay.
So he starts like practicing his, so he starts practicing his speech, good morning, America, good morning, America. Normal voice, captain voice. So he's like, he's getting ready to publicly speak. And then we see another uniformed
Hoskins come in.
soldier.
Hoskins comes in and asks, did he puke yet? And she's like, nope, not yet. So these two, they all know each other really well.
Yeah.
Well enough to know that apparently he pukes if he gets nervous, is what it sounds like.
Either he's ribbing him a little bit. And something I kind of noticed was a little off on this, or to me, that tried to kind of make me wrap my head around the positions that they're both in right now. So right now they're in full uniform, so they're still active duty. But Walker has the long sideburns. He's got the longer hair. Hoskins has a little bit of a longer hairdo, so it's not like very high and tight regulation looking hair. So it kind of makes me, think that signifies, which we do know later, that they're just not, your regular infantry grunts. They're probably a little higher up the food chain.
Like you're saying, like special forces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I didn't even catch on to that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch on to that part at all. But yeah, they are kind of not regulatory, are they?
No. Doesn't seem like it. It may be, but it seems like longer hair may be a thing.
So this is Lamar Hoskins. For those that know the history of him, he is John's Bucky. In the comic, he was John's Bucky. He started out as Bucky, and they did some pretty bad shit to get themselves known as Captain America and Bucky in the public's eye, like staging stuff, if I remember right. But then they, I think it was Marvel Comics. There might have been some outrage. I can't remember the full story, but basically they figured out that Bucky for a black guy's name was racist, and which is why they changed his name to Battlestar in the comic.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. You guys, call me out if I am, but I seem to recall that. So Bucky he is his Bucky though.
Right.
So, okay, go ahead.
Oh, they had their talk and they cut to, well, never mind. They don't cut to the scene. We get the intro again. I thought we were already past the intro. The Marvel scroll roll thing.
And it was a different Marvel song too. Did you notice that? It wasn't the typical one.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, because it sounded like a marching band.
Oh, well, yeah, because they were leading up because they had the drum line and everything. Yeah. Because when you actually get to the scene, they're at a football stadium. There's a drum line going. There's a full band out on the field.
On this scene, all I could think about this is bad. But the way that they're dressed with their little red berets was that Family Guy, where is it Family Guy? No, it might have been American Dad, it was American Dad, where they went to the Circus Olay or Cirque du Soleil, which was the rerun one from What's Happening. And all the guys were dressed like Rerun with the red berets and everything, and they're all dancing the same.
I don't remember that one.
We'll have to look that up here in a
Right.
minute. But yeah, that's what it was, and that's all I could think of. And I just started busting up laughing. So if you've seen American Dad, you're welcome. It's a great opening scene, though.
Well, what I noticed from this is it's obvious that the government is trying to commercialize our new version of Captain America, right? I mean, there's posters, there's memorabilia out there. The people are wearing hats. They've got action figures. He's signing stuff. You know, he's very seems very commercialized from the get go. Like, you know, we're gonna, you know, push this image as hard as we can to be as positive as we can. And you get the crowds full of people wearing sweatshirts, and you know, they're just, and I said this last episode, and I'll say it again because it's still stuck in my head. Is like all I think about now is the boys and the commercialized superheroes and stuff. And
yep, how the corpse own the soups.
Yep.
So what this reminded me of, this was very, very, very reminiscent of the first Avenger, Captain America, the first Avenger. How Cap didn't actually go out and fight anyone, and how they just sold him to the public to try and get them on board. That's what it was, and that's what this reminded me of a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's really what, I mean, he says it later. That's really kind of what he's supposed to be right now, or at least publicly. You know, he's the face of hope, America.
And then one thing when he gets on stage, one thing I thought was really, really cool, as much as, you know, I can say US Agent's cool. The new costume, if you look, his harness that he has, it completes the star on the right part of his chest. I didn't notice that first episode. I wasn't paying attention.
I didn't catch it either.
But I think it's just kind of cool looking. It really is.
I mean, it's a cool costume for sure.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So then, you know, he sits down. He's on a interview with Good Morning America, which, you know, ABC, Disney, all that fun stuff. We're gonna talk about it, but it's the modern version of when Steve was paraded around as Captain America doing USO shows and different things. The interviewer, I can't remember who she is, but
I'm trying to remember.
This is where we find out, you know, he's back at his high school, so they're giving that, you know, down home, good old apple pie feel, you know, football and hometown and all that stuff. I mean, it's a very deliberate scene for him. I'm not saying like scene within the show, but it's a scene that the government is setting up for Cap.
Oh, 100%. So here's your first Easter egg.
Okay.
The song that the high school band's playing is an updated version of the song that they played for Steve in the first Avenger.
Okay.
That song is called The Star Spangled Man.
We have a title.
So just updated version of it. So just pretty cool.
So it seems like we get some, like, you know, you get the pretty canned banter back and forth with the questions, the interview. You know, like, do eagles soar overhead when you walk? And he cheesily plays into it really well. That, you know, like that happens, and flags majestically start waving in the wind, and he's really playing it up for the camera really well. For the interview again, you know, for his PR reveal and stuff, that that first little line, it didn't strike me as something that, like, how if Cap was in this situation, that he would say. It seemed a little, it's not arrogant, a little, he's cockier than Steve.
He's 100% cockier than Steve. Steve is the most humble person you've ever met.
And
you could tell this guy, well, okay, let's go back to that. What I think rings true, what you just said, Kyle, is that he is cocky. When his wife, girlfriend, whoever she is, comes in, when she said, "You remember when I used to come here, sneak in here?" And if you remember, he goes, "Yeah, that's when we were winning," or something like that. I think that's what kind of you're referring to too. Is he's like, "Yeah, we were winning because I was there."
Yeah.
So I think that's part of that
Do
cockiness.
you think he was saying that the winning line because he was here when they were winning, or that he was winning because she was coming? Okay, it's probably when they were winning. Okay,
that's what I think.
I had to talk that one out for it to make sense in my head.
So here's something else that's really cool. Another Easter egg about this. So what I really loved about this interview with him on this, we'll get into this interview more, but he seems just like he's taking this job very seriously.
Yeah.
Which I think they did a great job at portraying this. Excuse me. And just sincerely too. Like you can tell he's just genuinely happy to be Captain America, to be picked for Captain. That's what I got from this interview of him. What was different is this is vastly different than his origin story in the comics.
Okay.
In the comics, he was a borderline supervillain when he first started out. He was called the Super Patriot.
Okay.
And he was willing to do whatever it took to get the job done.
You see that later in the
yeah.
Well, you don't see it, but you pick up on it.
Like just from his speech and the way he does stuff. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so this is vastly, vastly different. So I think he was immediately more likable here than he was in his comics debut. Because like I said, he was kind of a loser to me in the comics. He really was.
Well, and
with anger issues.
all that you're talking about from the comics, just because we haven't seen it on screen yet doesn't mean it hasn't actually happened.
Right. This is just where we are. We're like 5 minutes into the episode.
Well, yeah, that. I mean, even throughout this whole episode, you don't really get that from it, but it could be revealed in the next episode or whatever. Like he done some bad shit before, maybe not bad shit, but just some questionable things to complete the mission. Like that's still possible.
Do whatever it takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that they announced who he was from the get-go, with his helmet off, because Steve didn't used to have his helmet. He had his helmet on all the time when they first introduced him because they wanted him to be Captain America. Do you think the government was going for the angle? Hey, he's not trying to be Captain America. Here's our guy right here. He's a guy. By showing him without the helmet?
I think so. They're trying to show that, there's still probably, even though like to save the world, there's still the tension from, you still have Sokovia Accords and all that a lot of people probably don't totally trust superheroes. And so it's showing, hey, he's just a dude, that this is a normal guy. And so hence the unmasking early to be able to relate. I think, yeah, exactly what you were saying.
So, and here's where Kyle and I were talking earlier too, this part of the interview where it differed from Steve. She said, John Walker, she's like, you're being humble because he said something. He's like, oh no, aw shucks. She said, she goes through his resume. John Walker, first person in American history to receive 3 medals of honor, ran RS-1 missions in counterterrorism and hostage rescue. And then it shows him, the jogging and punching and stuff. The government did a study of your body at MIT, and you tested off the charts in every measurable category. And it showed him throwing the shield like Cap and doing the calculations to get it back to him, like the boomerang.
Yeah.
Which actually I thought that was a really damn cool scene. That part right there where he was doing that. So at this point, we think, something's happened to where maybe he does have superpowers. If he's testing off the charts off of every category. Because usually normal human beings don't do that.
Well, just him throwing the shield was very up there. Like that's not, super athlete performance, throwing the shield, ricocheting and catching it like that. That's just not going to happen.
That's not like a B Rob throw, normal
No.
B Rob throw.
No, it's not. It's not like you can, you can train to throw the shield at that level. I don't think. I don't know. I've never tried.
I never tried it. I say B Rob because B Rob's a better athlete than both Kyle and I combined.
Mm-hmm. He is. He doesn't. I hope he's not listening though, because I don't want.
No, B Rob, we hate you.
Mm-hmm. We'll find out really quick if he's been listening.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get a text.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he was a little bit more likable than his comic debut, because he's like, I'm not Tony Stark, I'm not Dr. Banner, I'm not the smartest that there is, but he is smart. He's a smart guy. And he's going through the things that he doesn't have: gadgets, super strength.
Right.
And he's like, but what I've got is guts. Well, there's Skippy. I think you got a little bit more than guts when you were throwing that shield.
I think so.
So I don't know. What do you think? Let's prediction right now as of 7:21, not the time, but into the episode. Episode 2. Do you think John Walker has superpowers?
Yes.
You think he's been enhanced? I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same.
Yep. I think he's juicing. I think we need our new Cap to pee in a cup, and we can test him for, power enhancing drugs.
John, why is this blue? Don't worry about it.
Why is it glowing? Reacting weird under this. Yeah.
Yeah. I
probably get that checked out, John. Like, I'm not.
He peed on the wall and it melted.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that you probably need to go see a doc about. Maybe get some penicillin. It's not right.
It's not right.
Yeah, you don't want to let that linger too long, John.
John. Okay. And then, he's like, something Cap always had was guts. I love this part right here. And, I know I say this all the time, but I just love these damn shows. These are so good.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you know Steve Rogers? And then it shows Bucky on his bed, AKA the hardwood floor.
Yep.
Watching TV. And you could tell Bucky was not happy.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
That was sad Bucky.
That looked like borderline fuming Bucky. Like, when you're so mad that he had the calm mad. You know what I'm talking about? Like, he wasn't like red in the face, fist wasn't shaking, he wasn't like hitting tables and like, this son of a bitch ain't kept and throwing things. Yeah. He was, just sitting there, just dead ass stare at the TV and just very slow, calculated, like, ooh, that's really pissed. That's the quiet guy in the corner of the room that, yeah, he was not
calm.
happy.
We'll call that one calm rage Bucky.
Yeah. He was calm and angry.
Congry.
Mm-hmm.
He was congry.
Yeah. Sticking with that.
That was great. I like that. But yeah, so Congry Bucky might be a one of our new memes too. And he's like, I never knew Cap. I followed his career. Like, that's kind of a chicken shit answer.
You think?
I think it was. Like, I don't know.
I'm
trying to find some reason to not like him right now.
I can tell.
I'm just kind of grasping. I'm trying to find some reason not to like him.
His teeth are stupid.
Look at that perfect hair and that chiseled chin.
His parents are famous. I took it as he was a fan. Either he was a fan or he, just said he was for appearances. But I would like to think that he probably, at the very least, followed him. Of course, everybody probably did. It wasn't like Cap was a secret underground superhero.
No, yeah. It was Captain America.
Yeah.
So, she asked, "You've always wanted to be a hero," and what did he say? I like this line. I like that what I was doing would make people feel safe. I just think that's just kind of an iconic kind of line that they threw in there. You know, like that's a defining statement.
I mean, it could still get flipped upside down. We could, you know,
100%.
I mean, just like with WandaVision with Hayward, you know, first episode
Director
or 2 or even 3,
Dick.
Director Dick. He didn't become Director Dick until like what, episode 3, episode 4,
like episode 3. I think it's episode 3.
So we got still time for, you know, US Agent to turn into Agent Dick.
Agent Richard.
Yeah. I almost went with Dick Agent, but I think Agent Dick probably works better.
Agent Dick. Dick Agent. That sounds like a good screen name.
Yeah, Dick Agent sounds like a guy that tries to offer you contracts to, you know, sit on couches and do things. But Agent Dick.
Some sort of casting couch, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Sit here and let's talk about I've heard of those.
I've heard, not that I've perused those.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you know, I've never met him, but it feels like a brother. And Bucky's face just loses his shit at that statement. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The scowl.
Yeah.
He does that lick where he licks his lips and then just kind of frowns and just scowls.
Mm-hmm. I think he totally forgot about rule number 2 at that point. He's like,
I think he did too. Next thing you know, we see Sam looking at this poster, just kind of, what the hell? And it's this Cap is Back poster.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Cap is back, John Walker. And if you look, I don't know if you noticed, it's an army poster too. It's in the bottom right.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you see up with Torres. I'm going to tie in later in the episode Torres with who we think one of the villain/players is in this show.
Oh, yeah.
And US Agents history. So just remind me if I forget.
Okay.
You know, he's like, he asked Torres, you know, did you meet him? He's like, no. And then they're talking and they're on their way to Munich.
I like how Bucky just walks onto this military base.
I know. The guy who got pardoned by the president.
What, you know, he's for how many decades he was a freaking
he's 106
Nazi super terrorist, and then it's like, hey, come on in, don't worry about your clearance. We got some cool shit in here, but it's felt and don't worry about it, you know.
And he's dressed all in black.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like he should be there.
Yeah. And no one gives him a second look. And the first thing Bucky,
because he can kick everybody's ass pretty much, but
that's true too. First thing Bucky says is you shouldn't have given up the shield. And okay, this is where I really start liking these two or loving these two. He's like, good to see you too, Buck. They're like, it's like this weirdest bromance ever. It's like brothers who hate each other.
Yeah. It's like, well, and we, you know, me and you talked about this before, and even a couple of days before we started recording, like we've got the makings of a cool, like buddy cop. Like this is like superhero Lethal Weapon is what it's turning into. And I love it.
I'm getting too old for this shield.
Yeah. I'm getting too old for this shield.
I'm getting too old for this shield. And then, you know, Bucky's just sneering at him the whole time. This is wrong. And he's like, hey, look, I'm working. All right. Like, I just like how they snap each other. Yeah. And I never thought about that. It is very Lethal Weapon like.
Yeah.
Like not the TV show, like the good movies.
Yeah, the good movies. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people argue 4 wasn't good. I liked 4.
If we get a scene with Sam just like sitting on the toilet with his legs asleep, a bomb about to explode, and
or
1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3,
3, or Bucky makes Sam dress up in a chicken costume.
Mm-hmm. The possibility, but I liked it. I mean, and I think we should talk about this too because it's such a different feel from WandaVision, right?
100%.
And
it's a 180.
And Disney is doing some cool things with, you know, I'm saying Disney because, you know, we are, but You know, we think back with the Mandalorian was very Western feeling.
Mm-hmm. Space Western. Yep.
WandaVision was, you know, very sitcom-y and stuff. It was a blend there. It wasn't they went from, it was like X-Files meets I Love Lucy meets Parker, you know, all these mashups. And then this is a whole different
Malcolm in
feel.
Middle.
Yeah. And this is a whole different feel. This has that action, that buddy action movie feel to it. And this one feels more traditional Marvel than WandaVision for sure. But like Marvel is finding its stride on the small screen, I think, or not finding its stride because it was running full speed. But
they're getting their feet into, because you and I have discussed this. Marvel's always had the movies. Yep. DC has had television.
And they're giving DC a run for their money.
And the direct to home movie. Yeah. Oh, they're completely giving DC a run for their money, especially since DC let the CW take Stargirl over. You bastards, if you ruin that show, I will write angry letters to you or emails.
I'll complain with large capital letters on the internet.
It will be all caps. I will tweet out something of my dislike.
Mm-hmm. All the hashtags.
All the hashtags. It'll be like 30 of them.
Minor grammatical errors and spelling problems, but still.
You know what? You get what I'm saying. Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. They're finding their stride here. They really are. And I think they're the past 3 shows that they've done, they're all home runs.
Yep.
In my opinion, Chris's opinion, all home runs.
Yeah. This is good stuff.
So one of the funniest things I think was said, Bucky's just, berating Sam over this, giving up the shield. And Sam goes, "What do you want me to do? Call America and tell them I changed my mind? Huh?" Like, I don't know why, but I just lost it at that part.
This little meetup here, there's a lot of little bitty quick lines that I just love.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love that. The writing for this I have to go back a little bit because I've let it play and go on through. But when Sam tells him he has another mission, and he talks about
what could be bigger than this. Yeah.
The flag. This is where he tells Bucky about the Flag Smashers, and he's like, he's strong. He's too strong. It's kind of key, right? Well, that's important later. Him talking about how strong he is. Damn, Chris. But
I was right in a way.
You were right. I was pretty sure you were right, but I just couldn't be. I had to give the conflicting opinion for the sake of this. Anyway. Yeah, he talked about the Flag Smashers, and that's when Bucky says he's going to go with him. They're arguing a little bit, but when Sam says,
like, "No, you're not."
Yeah, he says it's the big 3.
Oh, I love this. I love this. So
I freaking love
it. Usually when we hear the big 3, what is it you first think of? I'll make it easier. If you hear big 3, what do you think of in Marvel?
Big 3 when I think of Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be wrong, but I'm thinking, like Sword, Hydra. I'm thinking the big 3, the big organizations.
Well, I mean, that I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, that could be right too. Usually most people, when you hear the big 3 in like the Marvel universe, as of right now, because of the films, you think of Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. That's the big 3. DC, you think of the big 3. That's Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman.
Yeah.
Usually when I hear big 3, that's what I think of.
See, I thought he might have been referring to like maybe big 3 supervillains that, I wouldn't be, I know Thanos. So that's already taken care of.
Or the top 3 rappers of all time, Dylon, and Dylon. He spits hot fire. That's a Chappelle Show reference if you don't get it.
Back in our day.
Go ahead. Yeah, back in our day. Go ahead. What?
But he's like, what's the big 3? And he's like, androids, aliens, and wizards.
Yeah. This scene is so good.
Like, no, it's not. Yeah, no, it's not. He's like, every time we're fighting something, it's one of those 3. And there's,
Yeah.
it's funny with them being so serious. I don't know how. There's so many scenes in this. I wonder how many times they had to reshoot those because there is no way that they made it through those scenes without cracking up at each other.
Cracking up. I would love to see the outtakes because
Oh yeah,
the best line of the whole thing to me was, "Who are you fighting? Who are you fighting now, Gandalf?" And he's like, "How do you know about Gandalf?" You know, they're raising their voices at each other. And then you remember what Bucky said at that point?
he's like, "I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out." You know?
You could see Bucky at that point, just mic dropping it.
Mm-hmm.
Pipe
And,
bomb.
I'm laughing. That was the second time I watched through. I was watching with my daughter, so I'm laughing. She's laughing. She looks over to me, and my cat's like on the arm of my chair. I got this big white cat named Gandalf. So then she sees the cat, and she starts laughing even more because my Gandalf's here. And then there's that scene where he talks about Doctor Strange, and he said he's a sorcerer. The line, "A sorcerer is a wizard without a hat." I died. I was dead.
Yep. A sorcerer's a wizard. Like, if you think about it, that's actually true.
Mm-hmm. It seems like the androids, aliens. What was the third one? And wizards.
Androids, aliens, and wizards. Mm-hmm.
It seems like I've heard that before. That seems so familiar when he said that.
I always thought it was gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
Gypsies.
That's a share reference. Also, Mystery Science Theater from
Yeah, well,
Werewolf.
I'm not super up on my share. I'll share that with you.
You disappoint me. You would be if you watched more RuPaul's Drag Race like the rest of us.
I watched a little bit.
After you, Your Honor.
Where were we?
Hey, where he goes, "I'm right. I just came up with that. It's crazy. But that's not the point. These guys aren't magical."
No.
And he said, "They use brute force like you." What did he say? He said, these brute force like you, the incredibly annoying guy. What did he say? Oh, I'm getting there. The incredibly annoying guy in front of me with the staring. With the
I was letting it play through
problem.
again. I was at where they're like in the plane.
In the plane. Okay. We're almost there. Yeah. With me in front of with the staring problem. Remember where Sam says this, because this comes up 3 times in this episode.
The staring part?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's great.
And then you think about it, he actually does stare a lot.
Mm-hmm. He does. Like when they're in the plane, so Bucky ends up getting to go. Bucky gets his way and gets to go with Sam on this mission, and they're just sitting in the back of this transport plane and just staring at each other. Neither one of them blinking. That little scene, that was funny, but it was that setup for stuff later in the episode was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just staring at each other. Just stare. And Sam's face just killed me.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of just moving forward. Like Sam moves forward, so Bucky moves forward real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Sam gets up, Bucky gets up. They both grab some goggles. He's like, "What's our plan?"
I had seen a meme earlier in the week talking about Anthony Mackie. I don't know, you may have shared it or somebody shared it, but it said that Anthony Mackie always has a look on his face like he knows some secret about you, but he's not going to tell anybody, but he wants you to know that he knows it. But
it's that look.
It's that look like, yeah,
that's right.
I know. He does.
That's right. No, that wasn't me, but I wish I would have now.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Take credit for that. So Sam's just quiet. He's putting in his earpiece, and Bucky sits down. He's like, "Great. So no plan." Sam's just giving him the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
And Taurus is like, 30 seconds. And he's like, "Enjoy your ride, Buck." And then Buck just snaps at him. Or Bucky. He's like, "No, you can't call me that." And he's like, "Why not? That's what, Steve called you that." And he's like, "Steve knew me longer, and Steve had a plan." And he just kind of looks at him.
Well, Steve always had a plan.
He's not wrong.
Hmm.
And Sam's like, I got a plan. Bucky's like, what? You know, what? And Falcon jumps out of the plane.
Mhm.
So, and then they said, we're at 200 feet, you know, and Bucky's like, where's the chutes? And Torres is like, we're at 200 feet. You know, we're too low for a chute. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that that's under radar range, isn't it? 200
Probably.
feet. That's why they're so low.
Yeah, probably.
And then this is a great scene right here. Bucky's like, I don't need it anyway. And at this point, they if you're looking at the subtitles, they don't call him Bucky anymore at this point. They call him Winter Soldier. They switch to Winter Soldier when he goes, I don't need it. Yeah. So if you're not watching subtitles, like, so my dad is going deaf, basically, you know, hearing aids. He's old and he needs, just from being in the Navy, like the guns going off on the ship he was on, being fired. They didn't need protection for their ears. So everything we have is on subtitle now, like just kind of out of habit at this point now.
That's how it is in my house.
See, because you can't hear. And so I've just gotten used to it. But if you're not watching with subtitles on, just start doing that. You're going to catch a lot of stuff.
You'll catch so many things that, I mean,
like they changed from Bucky to Winter Soldier. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I have everything on subtitles at my place, and that when I finally started doing that, when I realized like my hearing was bad, when I finally came to, I was like, okay, well, I'll just turn on subtitles, and I caught so many things that I'll tell you. The first, no, we're going off track a little bit here, but you'll like this. The first movie I watched with subtitles, what triggered me to watch something with subtitles, was the original Mad Max movie. And I didn't do that because I had trouble hearing. I couldn't understand their damn accent. Like, I have no idea what these guys are talking about. And
it's like watching a Scottish show.
Yeah, I just like they're probably yelling about like crocodiles and dingoes and shit that I don't know, like what's going on. And so I turned it on subtitles for that, and I just left it on, and then started watching some other movies. Like, oh, that's what they say. It's like when you get the song lyrics for a song that you've been singing wrong your entire life.
And for me, is every song.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's not revved up like a douche. It's wrapped up like a deuce. That's the same effect that you have when you start watching stuff with subtitles if your hearing's gone to shit. So,
and so,
fun fact, I also edit the audio for these shows, so I'm the guy that can't hear this editing audio.
And he's doing all of it. It's like when Conor McGregor gets riled up. Like, you have to have subtitles.
Yeah, you do. I get mad if I like watching YouTube because half the time, they don't have integrated subtitles, and it's just, the auto-generated subtitles are sometimes hilarious. That's something else. If you've never done that, if you've never turned on auto-generated subtitles on a YouTube video, highly recommend it. You'll laugh your ass off. It's some of the funniest stuff ever.
So, and let me go back and preference to our 2 listeners in Ireland who we love you.
Aye.
We love you. It's not because you're Irish that we need a subtitle. It's because when McGregor gets so fired up, he starts yelling and all his words just go together. Like, if you've ever watched those subtitles of McGregor yelling, those are gold. You need to watch those if you haven't. Especially people trying to do them. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, people just trying to figure out what he's saying because he's just so excited. Like, it's brilliant. So Bucky's like, I don't need it anyway. And they're just barely above the treetops. He's like, yeah, I love this part. And he just rips the sleeve off of it. It was a nice jacket.
Why did he do that?
You know what that looks like? That looks like a very X-Men jacket, like the one Cyclops was wearing from like 2 or 3.
Yeah, so very Foxman. Okay, like the
very Foxman.
First half of Foxman, I guess.
Yeah,
no, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, not.
I think it was not
not
Age of
okay.
Apocalypse or
Yeah,
no, but I mean, doesn't it look like that kind of?
kind of. Why did he rip it off though? Like,
I don't know. Apparently, Bucky's got disposable income. That was a nice jacket.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you want a jacket or do you want a vest? Make up your mind.
Oh, or maybe he wants a sweater vest.
Maybe. I mean,
Bucky's just being a douche.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this will look cool, and it did.
Yeah, it did. He's right. It looked a lot cooler because that vibranium arm is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
It's
so if you don't remember,
gold looking, and
yeah, very Wakanda looking. If you don't remember, that's where he got it.
Mm-hmm.
When he was the White Wolf, and then he starts yelling, and then if you pause it at the right moment, you see his little figure going out of the plane, just falling. And Torres just looking at, he just kind of shakes his head. And you see Bucky going through the trees trying to slow himself down, grabbing at the branches, and then he just hits the ground, and it's just kind of.
But he's fine.
He's fine. And then you hear Sam, like in his earpiece, going, "I have all that on camera. You know that, right?" Mm-hmm. And here comes Red Wing, just hovering over him, like this was the best.
And Bucky hates Red Wing.
Bucky hates Red Wing with a passion. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Get it out of my face, Sam, or I'll break it." He's like, "All right, go north, come on." And he's kind of laughing when he says this, and Red Wing's leading him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look inside the factory now, they go into this like old abandoned, kind of looks like one of those maybe turn of the century child labor textile factories.
Yeah.
Just run down. If you look at the graffiti in the wall, did you see the top left above all the big blue bubble? It's the red hand with the world in it.
I didn't catch it. I caught the tree growing. Oh yeah, there's the hand. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Real brief.
There's your Easter egg.
I was more amazed by the tree growing up out of the ground inside the factory.
Yeah. In the words of Jeff Goldblum, nature finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my worst
crazy son of a
ever,
bitch did it.
Yeah. Let's see.
They start.
And we looked this up. Going back a little bit, so that is John's wife, Olivia Walker.
Okay.
The reason I didn't know who the hell she was created for this.
Oh.
She doesn't have a counterpart in the comics.
Okay.
So.
Which is fine. Somebody will probably have a big harumph about it, but it's fine. This is the retelling. I mean, how many damn universes do we have to deal with anyway that we can't experience one? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, well, it's fine. In the words of EGTN, it's fine.
It's fine.
And and then Red Wing's flying around Bucky's head, and what does Bucky do at this part?
I got ahead of you again, and so he
swats at it like a fly.
Yeah, he hates that thing. He absolutely hates that thing.
Like, I really want to know the reason at this point. Oh, I don't know if this is intentional. So go to 12 minutes, 38 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, you got it paused. See how Bucky's just kind of standing there?
Yeah.
Look at the back left. The graffiti. The back left, in between the two pillars. The graffiti. Is that Rosie from the Jetsons? Their maid, the robot maid? Her head? Kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Trying to get a good pause on it. This is 12:38.
12:38 on the dot.
Let's see what we can come up with. 36, 37, 38. Nope, that's 37. I can't make it out. My mic's in my way too.
It looks to me like it's Rosie's head from the Jetsons.
Between the pillars. I see. Maybe.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I know what you're
probably
talking
not, but it kind of looks to me like it is.
Could be.
And it's probably nothing. That's probably literally whoever tagged this building did.
Yeah, we're just doing some random. Like you do see. Now I'm looking at all the graffiti because you do see some like figures in like after this some figures in ski masks like painted on the wall. Some very that's the probably more recent graffiti since this is one of their hideouts, and that's the best way to keep your hideout secret is to paint pictures of people that look like your organization on the wall.
Yep. Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
I would
no terrorists here.
I'd put all pictures of Danny Glover and Mel Gibson on everywhere.
I would graffiti Aqua Teen Hunger Force everywhere. Just to make things
just Carl.
Just Carl. It's just Carl everywhere in his
Carl
tank top and his gold chain.
And then at the entrance it'd be MCP pants.
Mm-hmm.
Said unless you got candy, you ain't coming in. Because he has a need. That's different than a want. He wants candy, bubblegum, and taffy.
I want to watch the birthday snake episode. You can't just decide that I'm drunk.
Yes, we are the best. The
Such a damn good show.
It is. Okay.
So they're scanning for bad guys.
Yep.
And so I think his distrust of Red Wing is, physically looking at him, he's younger, but age-wise, he's a crotchety old man. In all reality, he's 100 and something years old. He's old enough to get really angry if he misses his programs. So,
or his Buckamusel.
Yeah, he's Buckamusel. Matlock's on. Leave me alone.
Hey, leave me alone. The Golden Girls is on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that Blanche. And so, I think it's his actual age distrust of that kind of technology, maybe.
I think you're right. I never thought about that.
And so they kind of get it put to the test here of, spotting the bad guys. They're talking a lot for a pretty open, echoey building, trying to spy on people, but, whatever.
There's a couple things in this episode like that I noticed that too that annoyed me.
Yeah.
Just as a fanboy saying, this couldn't happen.
And I guess suspend some of that disbelief.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So we'll come up to that on the next part of this, but yeah, no, you're right. They're very, very loud.
So Sam calls him, talking about being stealthy. And he's like, oh, you spend some time in Wakanda and you come out, White Panther. He's like, actually, it's White Wolf.
White Wolf. Yep. When he tells him, he tells him too, we're not assassins. And Bucky just kind of looks at him because Bucky's like, I am an assassin.
Technically. One of us is.
He's like, I'll see inside. And yeah, he's like, oh, come on, man, I was kidding.
Mm-hmm. Just wee stuff. You and Red Wing? No.
Yeah. And okay, did you notice when he goes, look at you, all stealthy? I pointed this out to my wife. I don't know if you caught this. Did you see what that was in reference to, and why that shouldn't have happened? Okay, if you look at that scene, it's 1322.
Yeah.
He is in a kind of a tunnel part of the warehouse, surrounded by all concrete, right? And standing water everywhere. Yeah. That should be reverberating him stepping in that water everywhere. You'll hear that splosh, splosh. You know what I mean?
Did he step in the water?
Yeah, look, he's right in it. It's everywhere. You cannot not step in it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Even though he's walking on the corner, but he's not making a sound.
Well, he's that stealthy.
He is that stealthy.
Maybe he was being serious. Maybe he wasn't being just smart-assed about it. Look at you being all stealthy.
I don't think he was, but...
Whoa, look at you. Being all stealthy.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
But yeah, he didn't make a damn sound.
No.
And Sam's chuckling. No, Sam, you're being serious.
Yeah, that's when, that's when you become the White Wolf. You get extra stealthy. +7 sneak.
+7 sneak with pants of plus 12.
Well, that's why he ripped the sleeve off, because that made him just light enough to be able to be stealthy.
That's true, because they could smell his cool coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That brought him down a notch.
Brought him down a notch, so he had to balance out the mitigating factor.
Then, he says, all right, I'm inside, therefore way ahead of you. And he's looking, he's like, it's not great, it's doable. And then all of a sudden, Sam is right next to him and behind him. And, Bucky's like, what? It scared Bucky.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's looking around and he goes, hello, how are you? He's like, good, what did I miss? Nothing. Like, oh, that was just a great part. And then, he's like, I got a vibranium arm. I can take him. And Sam, like, this is the whole bro dynamic. Sam going, I can fly. Who gives a shit?
On Disney, they said shit. They said shit on Disney.
2 episodes in a row.
I know. There's a lot of Disney shit.
That's a lot of Disney shit.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they don't step in any Goofy, we're fine.
So then this is the old man versus machine. Well, man machine versus machine.
Yeah.
Pardon me. He got a little bit of machine in him. I don't know why somebody's got distresses technology for that, but whatever. That he's says I see so many. What do they say? 4 or 5. Or he saw how many did you see? Like 2. And then he has Red Wing do his scan, and he's like, "Oh, it's 4 or 5." It's kind of like a "haha, got you" moment. And then this is where they thought they saw the. Oh yeah, he talks about them being strong. So it's just not one. And this is important because last episode it was just one super strong ass kicker, and this one they're all just like lifting up these crates of things. Like
it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. They're moving pallets of pillows, for all we know, and
these were big ass things.
Yeah, and it's just normal people moving stuff around. So that's something's up. And did he get the scan now? Yeah, that's when he picks up the scan that there's somebody in the back of one of the trucks or one of the trailers, and so there's they think there's a hostage, and then Bucky goes into super fast Bucky mode, and something happens here too as he's running down the truck.
Bucky mode activate.
Yeah, that you talk about one of the things that bothered you, that just some inconsistencies, something that didn't line up.
I think this is the same thing. What you're about to say is what I'm.
So he jumps on the back of the trailer of the lead trailer. So there's a truck behind him.
They're following.
They're following. And so he jumps in the back opens it up, and the other truck, the second truck in the convoy, is still just driving along. Nothing weird. This dude just ran up beside us and jumped in the back of the truck. Like maybe they thought they left somebody behind.
Yes, that's what I was going for.
Like, oh, we forgot Steve. That's just Steve catching up and getting in the trailer because they're all super soldiery or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, he just jumps in.
He's all dressed in black and has a vibranium arm. But it was cool seeing how fast Bucky could run.
Yeah.
That's the cyborg in him.
Mm-hmm.
Cyborg / super soldier.
Mm-hmm. Android.
Android.
And
Mandroid.
He's a mandroid. So he gets in and sees this very meek looking woman.
He sees the girl from Solo.
Yes, that's where she was from. It was bugging me.
She was the rebel in Solo when they were trying to take the stuff from Paul Bettany was also in Solo.
Mm-hmm. I was bugging she has a very distinctive look to her, and I know I've seen her before, and it was bugging me. That's my daughter, and I refused to look it up because I thought I might spoil something if I got too far down the IMDb's, and then I never did go back and look at it after, but I knew I'd seen her before, and that's where it was. Okay.
She's extremely distinctive looking.
Mm-hmm.
With all her freckles and everything and red hair.
Yep. That's where
I'd seen her. Sweet looking girl.
Yeah.
But she's totally innocent. She's the rebel leader in Solo.
Yeah.
She smiles at Bucky after he's like, I found the hostage. He smiles at her, and all of a sudden Bucky goes flying into that other truck.
Yeah.
And she puts on the Flag Smasher mask. And I don't know if you realized what else she was wearing.
And she had the
She was
same
just
jacket.
wearing like a shirt. Yep.
Oh.
It was the jacket as the person who kicked the hell out of Torres.
Yeah. So that was her. I think that was her. I'm pretty sure
I think
that
it was her too.
Yeah.
And then Bucky's, he got thrown into the windshield of this other truck, which I thought, they keep going. I'm like, oh, maybe these are like Tesla self-driving trucks. Two Flag Smashers pull him up from the windshield. I say two Flag Smashers, while old girl Flag Smasher jumps this big gap onto the truck, and the three of them are beating the shit out of Bucky. The Winter Soldier, the one who gave Captain America, Iron Man, all those people a run for their money. The ultimate assassin, they're giving him a run for his money. The three of them.
Yep.
In comes Red Wing, just firing his little Gatling, his pew pew. She turns around. Yep.
Obliterated.
She jumps up, grabs him out of the air, and then just breaks him over her knee. And what did Bucky say at that point?
It's like, I've always wanted to do that. Why does he hate Red Wing so much?
I don't know.
I'm sure that's
it's an
something
unnatural hate too. Yeah. When is this the end of Red Wing?
Oh, did we just see? We had our first major death of the series.
Maybe we did.
Maybe that should be the thumbnail. Rip with Red Wing.
Right there. Rest in peace, Red Wing.
Yep.
Sam comes in and does that Falcon kick that he does so well, coming in at full force and just leads with the kick, and the wings are behind him. Like, I love that kick. I just think it looks cool. And
I like what they do. I mean, I just love watching these wings in action and all the cool stuff that they do with them.
Yeah. They just do a lot with it.
But we have
they're
a great fight scene that plays out. This show has had already tons more action than we saw in WandaVision. We talked about it. Wanda wasn't a action-oriented show, so we're
never meant to be.
But there is a lot of good action. I mean, it's cinema level. It's just not TV level. This is high level shit. The fight breaking out and then jumping back and forth between the trucks, and the special effects are great. Like, everything's really seamless. And so I'm at this point I'm super enjoying everything. We get to see how strong everybody is. We get to see highway fights. We get to see stuff getting smashed into things. Red Wing getting smashed, and then we get a quick glimpse of a shield flying in.
Because they're getting their asses kicked.
They're getting taken to town.
They're not even. It's not even a fight. It's one-sided. But yeah, then we see the shield, and then it going back, and then we see who.
We see new Cap. I still think we have to call him Captain America until he's officially,
Cap 2.
Yeah, Cap 2.0. And he drops in, and then what was it, Hoskins or
Hoskins, Battlestar.
Yeah, he kind of does a rappel, swing down, knocks the guy off, pops back in next to Cap 2.0, and they give the little bro forearm bump thing. Like, you can tell that they've operated together before.
Yep. And again, he was his Bucky.
Yep.
And he's like, Sam, John Walker, Captain America.
Yeah, he makes the formal introduction. And
Sam just looking at him like, go to hell.
It says, looks like you guys could use some help.
And then Lamar Hoskins, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Solo Girl.
Kick ass. So they
okay.
This fight scene draws out for. Okay, go ahead.
I say here's another. I think it's another nod to Winter Soldier, Civil War, and the comics in general. 2.0 throws his shield. Hits someone with it, throws it, hits another flag smasher. Bucky catches it one hand, not with his cyborg hand. As Bucky's been known to do, catching it one hand, like with his fingertips.
Ooh, let me go back. I didn't catch that.
1657.
Okay. Well,
and it's every small detail. You can see Sam's wings up too. Like you wouldn't notice that normally. But Bucky catches it one hand and hands it back to Cap as he runs by.
Mhm.
As much shit as he was giving Sam, he didn't keep the shield. He handed it back to Cap.
He handed it back. Well, something that new Cap did that, and I talked about this a little bit before, that you didn't see old Cap do once he went, full superhero mode, was draw his pistol and fire some shots.
Yep.
And that's something once Cap got out of normal military type service where he was doing missions
Being an
and stuff.
Avenger full time.
Yeah, when he went full time, he never drew a gun that I can think of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't ever remember seeing Cap shoot a gun.
I can't either.
Our only gun wielding Avenger was Black Widow.
Yep.
And so we already got Cap, new Cap. New Cap is strapped. So beyond the
strap Cap.
Yeah, we got strap Cap.
Strap Cap.
Strap Cap.
Bucky's fighting, and you're right. Bucky's fighting below the truck. Sam gets kicked off, and this is just, it was really cool the way that they made it do it. Like Sam just twisted in midair, got his wings out, and flew off.
Mm-hmm.
Just a cool scene. And here's what else is I think is interesting. Going back to our earlier distrust of Bucky going into the back of this truck, and I'm rubbing in between my eyes right now because this makes me hurt. You get a look inside the damn cabin of the truck, and it's a flag smasher driving it. They might want to rethink their membership at this point, because this piece of crap did not warn the rest of them that Bucky was in there.
Maybe he did. Maybe she was just like,
no.
I got it.
I bet he dropped his Subway sandwich, and he was trying to get it the whole time. Yep, like that. He's like, or maybe he's going to like Dunkin' Donuts. Or gotta make the donuts.
Yeah, he's probably texting and driving his semi-truck.
That's what he's doing. You're not supposed to. He needs a tattler on there.
Hashtag flag smashing.
Flag smashing. But yeah, no, he didn't tell anyone.
So I got far ahead too. Let's see. Sam's in the ditch at this point. How did Sam? Oh, because he flew under and rescued Bucky. He did the like the tuck and roll with him, which was also funny the way they landed on each other.
Pelvis to pelvis, eye to eye.
Just like, get off me. That's another one of those scenes where I'm like, I want to see the outtakes because that
I do too.
But that's not the biggest outtake scene that I want to see.
No.
So they're out of the fight now. So it's left to New Cap and
well, you got to tell what they said when Bucky rolled off of him too.
Oh yeah, I tell him to get off me.
They were all super soldiers, Sam.
Oh yeah,
that's very important. Very, very important, because that sets up pretty much what I think is going to be the rest of the series at this point.
And they both look tired. Like Bucky looks tired. He's drained from this fight. And so,
which you don't see very often.
And then we cut back to New Cap fighting on the truck.
And Battlestar is getting his ass kicked.
Yeah. Which he hasn't. Did he introduce himself as Battlestar? He hadn't yet. He does later.
He hadn't yet. He does later. So
we'll refer to him as Battlestar because that's a lot more fun to say.
Battlestar. Right. And Rebel kick is John's trying to get back on. Rebel kicks him off of the truck, and he's falling. John throws his shield and hits it just right, so he's sliding on the shield. There's another Easter egg. That's a la comic book Captain America. That's a very comic book Captain America move.
No, you just referred to her as Rebel.
Rebel because she's the rebel leader in Solo.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like a tie-in to the comic that I missed.
No. I'm just calling her Rebel because she's the rebel leader.
In this show.
They are, and she doesn't know. And we haven't heard her name yet.
True.
So she's Rebel right now.
Disney is really, with the Flag Smashers and all the stuff that's coming out on Disney. Me and you talked about this off show, and so we've got, 2 big releases within the last couple of weeks. Raya and the Last Dragon, Raya,
Mm.
and the Raya or Raya.
Raya, I think it's Raya.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
I don't know. Now you got me second guessing it.
So like I watched that with my kids.
Well,
and like,
it's Raya.
And like I come out like, yeah, let's the borders are bad. Let's unify everybody. And like we don't need these borders. They're just getting in the way of everything. The good guys are trying to get rid of the borders, and we switch back to Falcon the Winter Soldier. And like these assholes are trying to get rid of borders and unify. Like, which one is it, Disney? Giving us conflicting messages.
Take a side, Disney.
Yeah. Quit straddling the fence, Walt.
Walt, straddle the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Rebel finally kicks John off the trucks.
Yeah.
And she's standing there very supervillain defiantly. Like
Cracking the pose. Just
Bam Bam Bigelow, King Bundy, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It like
she just won the Royal Rumble and is flexing and getting ready to get her belt.
Yeah, or like it's Vader time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she was doing.
And we see Sam and Bucky walking dejectedly down the road. I love this. Or did you miss? Was there something?
Yes, because this is another thing that kind of bugged me about this. Like normally I'm not as picky, but she kicked Cap off onto that little Nissan and he smashed into the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
No one came out.
That are probably dead.
Oh, okay. Well, that works.
All right, we solved that.
I'm good with that answer. Okay, next.
Moving along, Cap killed somebody.
Cap killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
Cap 2.0.
What's the percentage of acceptable collateral damage again? A la the boys, what's called Bot and Find Out. Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, major crossover.
Well, you know where our acceptable losses are.
Mm-hmm. A Nissan.
So, they're walking, and then, like you're saying, and
at least it wasn't a Buick.
At least it wasn't. What if it was Wanda? Or no, even better, it was Pietro.
If he would have smashed into a red Buick and it would have just like totally just sailed right there, Justin would have been so happy. He'd be like, "Yes, vengeance! Finally,
vengeance is mine." Oh, okay. So they're walking along. Bucky tells him, "I'm sorry about what Red Wing," and Sam's like, "No, you're not." And important to note on the subtitles, it says Falcon, not Sam anymore.
Mm-hmm. And then it refers to walkers. We have Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, because they pull up on him at this point. I mean, they're talking a little bit. I got a little bit ahead of you, but now I'm like really looking at subtitles to try to see when names change and things.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's like, "What's going on in that big cyborg brain of yours?" And he's like,
"Yeah, go ahead and carry that on out."
Which is the first time that we ever hear that Bucky has a cyborg brain.
Does he?
I think he does. I think that's how they can keep wiping him. Remember how they we're going to wipe? Well, I guess they did that with Electric.
Or was he just kind of poking at him a little bit? I took it as he was just kind of poking at him a little bit. Like, hey, Machine Man.
Yeah. Yeah, they're poking at each other. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Where were we here? Oh yeah, so he's like, we got to figure out where the serum is coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes it. He does make a quick jab back at him, like it's computing. And so he's they don't. You get that feeling like they're trying to play it off like they don't like each other, in which there's a lot of distrust between the two, and they have their reasons, but they feed off each other really well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're in the courting stage right now. They're not full on dating yet. They're courting.
They're like the odd couple.
Yeah, a little poking fun back and forth.
Little smoke and poke.
Yeah, Sam says, the gears are turning, and he just keeps ribbing him. And Bucky's serious. He's like, we got to figure out where the serum's coming from. Sam's like, it's been 80 years. We got to find out why there are eight
super soldiers
running on the loose. And then you see the Jeep with New Cap and Battlestar pull up, offering him a ride, and they're of course not going to take the ride because pride and things, and angry about New Cap with the shield. And
it was funny. We have he opens the door. It's like, so that didn't go as planned, huh? They just keep walking. They didn't even stop.
And then so let's keep going. And was it Cap that said? Who said that? Yeah, it was New Cap.
It was Cap
that said, "How's he? I want to get this right."
At least we know what we're up against now, huh?
Yeah,
and we're pretty sure it's one of the big three.
Yeah,
and then that's when Sam joins in and goes, "And aliens, androids, or wizards?" And Cap, and it says Captain America now. And he goes, "Pretty sure." And then Bucky says,
"There's no such thing as wizards." I like how I like it when a joke sticks in it. You almost drive it into the ground, and it you just keep rehashing and keep reemphasizing that. It's hard to do that without beating a dead horse and making the joke dull. And they're keeping it fresh, and they keep just driving these repeating jokes throughout it, and that's very much the bro buddy cop style that they're going for, and
it's the bro code.
It's that style of film here, so that's awesome.
And he goes, then it's aliens, androids, and then that's when Bucky goes, or no, Sam said, or super soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Battlestar goes, shit, super soldiers for real? He's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, all right, well, we got to work together. And Sam's like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, his first attempt at a captain moment with these guys, because that's a very Steve thing to say. We all need to work together. I need to come together as a team. And they're like, no.
I think we all stand a better chance if we work together.
Yeah.
And then was it Bucky who said, just because you carry the shield doesn't mean you're Captain America?
Yeah, it was Bucky.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a dick move, Bucky. That wasn't nice.
I like how, Bucky tries to kind of call him out, and I love Walker's response on this. When Bucky asks him, like, you ever jump on top of a grenade? He's like, yeah, actually I have 4 or 5 times. It's the thing I do with my helmet. It's this reinforced helmet. And,
yeah.
It's just this kind of the way they delivered that line was I like that line. It was funny.
Well, it was so matter of factly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. It was great.
So there's some good things unfolding. They're still trying to get in the Jeep. Let's get on it. It's 20 miles to the airport. And so finally they get in, and they start talking about the super soldiers and the supply run, and they're trying to figure out the logistics of it all. And that's when Sam starts explaining that what the Flag Smashers are, trying to get things back to the way they were before the blip. New Cap kind of makes a jab back that, the serum doesn't really have a really good track record.
He looks at Bucky and goes, no offense. Yeah.
No offense. Yeah.
And then,
they asked how did they track them. They're trying to figure out how they showed up.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, and they said, how did you track the Flag Smashers specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
And I said, well, we didn't track them. We tracked you through Red Wing.
Yep.
And accuse them of hacking their tech. And this is where you see the first to me of where there's a difference between New Cap and Old Cap. With their line of patriotism and nationalism and all this stuff. He said, well, it's not actually hacking. It's, government property. and he,
And I'm the government.
yeah, kind of the government, motions to himself a little bit. So there's some more of that cockiness coming through, and where you start seeing the lines drawn between old Cap and new Cap.
And then I love this part here because Bucky did not like that joke.
Nah.
And so he did the Bucky stare, the Buck stare.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Cap mentions it. Does he always just stare like that? Again, important to note that Bucky does this scowl, this stare. He's like, you get used to it. And you can tell that John's kind of put off by the stare.
Yeah.
Unnerved, I guess is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did they ever say who the GRC was?
Global
Because they mentioned that.
Yeah, they did. The Global Reparation Council.
Oh yeah, that's who. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Get things up running smoothly. Post blip, reactivating citizenship, Social Security, healthcare. That shit, I don't think any of us thought about after Endgame.
We talked about it. Well, we talked about it a little bit last episode with just the.
Yeah, we did
the bank ramble that I had.
Right,
but
not like this kind of stuff. Like, are you a citizen if you've been technically dead for 5 years? Do you have a Social Security number? Does the government owe you 5 years worth of back pay on Social Security?
Probably. Maybe.
Healthcare. Can you get healthcare again? Would being blinked out of existence be a pre-existing condition?
I was going to go there with it.
But
I'm sorry, Miss Johnson, but you have a history of just disappearing for 5 years at a time, and I don't think we can cover. Yeah.
See, your setup was much better, sir.
But yeah, and really, you kind of see this sets up. I don't think they mentioned here, later on when the flag smashers are really upset that this is needed to understand what they're fighting for. And this is another thing that Marvel does really well with their bad guy, with a lot of their bad guy groups. Maybe not necessarily Hydra, but you kind of, at least I did, as we went through this episode, started feeling a little bit I understood why the flag smashers felt the way that they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, and did you notice? Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead. That's all the thought I had of that.
I was gonna say, well, if you notice here, Hoskins refers to the people who came back as refugees. I don't know if you caught that or not.
I didn't. But that
he calls them, it makes sense. They are refugees.
Yeah, I mean that's how you'd have to handle it. Really, I mean that's where government set up to handle refugees and that type of thing. So that's going to be it's a FEMA thing. So
yeah. There it is. The Global Reparation Council. Yep, like you said, that's where they mentioned it. Did they mention that anywhere else before?
Not up to this point that I can remember.
Gotcha. So, he asked him, why are you guys here? And he's like, well, they provide the resources and we keep things stable, AKA we're the enforcement. We're the enforcers.
Right.
So in the comics, Battlestar and Super Patriot at the time, basically staged these crimes almost, like this whole big setup to make themselves heroes, to make themselves, the Captain America is the big coming out thing. So in the comic, if that's the way that they're going to follow, it's one of those, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure this is how I'm perceived. I'm, like you were talking about earlier, the finish the mission at all costs, to do whatever I have to.
I'm going to make a far out prediction.
Go for it.
Based off of that. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Walker doing it. It's Hoskins doing it. Hoskins is very supportive of him in the Cap role. Mm-hmm. He, Walker, he's embracing it, but he's very unsure of himself, and really, I mean, there's not any big baddies to fight right now. So there needs to be something. Hoskins, is looking out for his guy and is somehow backdoor staging some of these things. He's helping orchestrate it somehow. And we find out at the end of the season that he was doing it. That's where they have their falling out. And there's some redemption on Walker's part by the end of the series because of that, because he finds out about it and he has to handle his buddy.
Good
That's my left field. That's my left field prediction of something that could possibly happen. I'm not sitting that one in stone, true. But
that's the beauty of these Nerkies. We can pretty much say whatever the hell we want and see 99% of what we say isn't going to come true.
Or it? Well, we didn't get stuff wrong. It just hasn't come. It hasn't come true yet. There's still a lot of.
We're still holding out that WandaVision episode 9 will have Mephisto.
Secret. Well, now they can't because I think Red Wing was secretly Mephisto and now is destroyed.
He's dead. Yep. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's Cap's shield.
Ooh, no. Yeah. No. I'm going with Red Wing. Nope. Yeah. Flag Smashers did a good thing and killed out the big baddie before anything even happened.
And then he a line that stood out during this was Cap going, yeah, violent revolutionaries aren't usually good for anyone's cause. And then Sam shoots back at him, usually said by the people with the resources. And Cap goes, we got a lot of resources. If you guys, if you joined up with us, we could, and Bucky's like, no. And Battlestar's like, I got respect for you guys. This is, I think, setting up for an eventual confrontation between the four of them. A fight. Yeah.
Well, and even going back to, like, now my wheels are turning on the whole Hoskins and them setting things up. Maybe both of them, or at least one of them, is helping orchestrate that, and it wasn't Red Wing that led them to that. They were aware of what was happening ahead of time because they were really close. Well, I mean, they could have followed him via Red Wing and been dispatched, but they were quick. They could have knowledge of what the Flag Smashers were doing because they're helping the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, could be. And this would mirror the comic.
We might be onto something.
If that's the direction that they're going, this mirrors the comic a lot. I mean, not the exact scenario, but situation.
Yeah.
Or not the exact situation, but same scenario.
Following the spirit of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I love this one part here. Go to 2142.
Okay. Nope, I'm past 2142. Okay.
Shitty way that Hoskins is looking at Bucky. You see it?
Yeah. When he told them that they were getting their asses kicked before they showed up.
Yep. And this shitty look on Hoskins's face. Because that's going to go well with Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bucky goes, who are you? Lamar Hoskins.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, I see a guy hanging out of a helicopter in tactical gear. I need a lot more than Lamar Hoskins. And he's like, I'm Battlestar. And then they both, Bucky and Sam both kind of just snicker. Battlestar?
Yeah, he's like, stop the car. Just I'm out. I'm done.
Oh, he's like, I get the attitude I do. He's like, I get it, Bucky. And that's when he says, I'm not trying to be Steve. And he says, I'm not trying to replace him. This is a turning point, I think, right here. It's where he's just, you wonder, is he actually trying to work with them? Or is he playing them? Because at this point, I kind of thought, okay, maybe he's a decent guy.
Yeah. When he referred, he said, trying to be the best I can be. And then he says, it'd be a lot easier. How do you say it exactly? It'd be a lot easier if I had
Cap's wingman on my side.
Cap wing. So it was kind of a double thing there, I think. And I think this is where it hit Sam, was like, oh, Sam's just a wingman. Sam's just a secondary guy. He's not carrying things on his own. He's not doing all this, these great things on his own. He was just a wingman. He was just, a side character. He couldn't hold it under his own merit. And I think that's why Sam, and that's Sam's point right there. He's like, okay, well, had to get that last little line in. He had to say that last little thing.
Right there. I also kind of think, because this just hit me just looking at this, I think it's a legitimacy issue too.
Yeah.
If I have Bucky and the Falcon backing me up, I'm Captain America. People will have to see me as Captain America.
Yep. Yeah. And so I think Sam sees that as he's only wanting them, not just for their help, but for his image. He's just using them.
I can see that. Yep. Next thing you know, we're in this dark alley.
Buying drugs.
And
no, wait.
Buying drugs. No. And it's Rebels knocking on the door, and then she whistles. And this person opens up. And we know we're in Germany, because that's where they were.
Yeah, because we're in what, Munich? Leading up to that, yeah.
And then this guy lets all the flag smashers in. And you see the red handprint on the inside of the door and the wall with the globe.
And they're led into this big warehouse. There's stuff, on the there's like graffiti everywhere. There's like electronics. There's well, it's not a warehouse. They're in a
building.
Internet cafe.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he offered them an old family recipe made of the finest chicken livers because they were all hungry.
I would have tried.
They weren't that hungry. They weren't that hungry.
I like chicken livers. Don't at me.
Chicken livers aren't bad.
No, not bad.
I think it's more of a Southern thing.
Yeah, it probably is.
You
can eat them and you can catch fish with them. They're great.
Yep. And you can choke them.
Ooh. But bumps.
And the guy's like, he made little makeshift like room for him with beds, and they're like, oh, internet. And then Rebel's cell phone, she gets a text message and it says, unknown private number, you took what was mine, I'm going to find you and kill you. So, which means we know that flag smashers have stolen from someone probably not very nice.
I didn't catch it the first time I watched through, thinking back to who that text message was from. And it shows later, but I didn't. My slow brain didn't put the two together until later.
Maybe it was Steve or Tony.
I know who it was. I think I know who it was.
Maybe it was Spider-Man.
Which one?
Miles Morales? I just thought it was really interesting because she looked genuinely nervous there.
Yeah.
And that says something because she has super soldier serum in her.
Yeah. You got the serum.
Got the serum. And the guy's speaking in German and they're like, thank you. They go in. And then the guy at the computer goes, shit, they're already onto us. And he's like, I'm wiping our aliases from any public traffic sites now. Which means this guy's probably pretty good with looks like Linux.
Yeah, he's angrily typing, doing hackery things.
And hackery things.
Yeah.
It's a JSON file. JSON. JSON. And then you see Interpol notice.
You can tell he's doing hackery things by the all the numbers just randomly on the screen. That's the first sign he's doing hackery things.
Because that's how hackers work.
Yeah.
And then you see the Interpol picture, and with Rebel's name, and the guy's name is Lennox. He says, Carly, we can't stay here for long. So we know her name is Carly. It goes down more. Wanted Carly Morgenthau.
Yep.
Last sighted near Munich. They know where she is.
Yep.
So her name is Carly Morgenthau, so we don't have to call her a rebel anymore.
Carly with a K.
And then she says, we're not, then she gives a very impassionate leader speech. And She's like, we're not playing anymore. We can't let the people who were in power before the blip come back into power. And they're saying the GRC cares more about the people who left than the people, or the people who came back than the people who never left. So this kind of humanizes the Flag Smashers right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
they're saying, you know, they suffer too. Just because they weren't gone doesn't mean that they didn't have losses. They didn't have
for those 5 years, right?
For 5 years. They lived it for 5 years.
Well,
and you know, they're like, where's our support for being here? Where's our help?
Well, it makes you wonder, were things that much better in those 5 years? According to them, it was.
I mean, like Thanos super sympathize. I almost say supersizers every time. Sympathizers.
Supersizers.
I'm tired.
Supersize Carly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she tells him, you know, I need
more
to know you're
resources
committed
to go around for less people. So it's
yeah. And she's like, I need to know you're all committed. After tomorrow, there will be no going back. And then they, you know, they pan out to all the Flag Smashers, and you got the girl, the angry girl, and then you've got Walmart Big Show.
Yeah.
Right after the other girl.
No going
Best
back.
choice.
Oh, yeah.
Best choice Big Show.
Yep, I see it now.
And then this guy goes, yeah, one world, one people. And you can tell he's not going to last because his name is Soldier.
I thought his name was Mattias.
Was it? Because it said, or did someone after that yell?
No, it was the soldiers replying back.
Okay, so that's Mattias?
I don't know. I got it muted while I'm just reading it now.
Yeah, there it is. One world, one people. And they start yelling, one world, one people. So one world, one people is their thing. Next thing you know, Bucky's thinking on the plane. And he's on the crate. Sam's laying down in the seat. And he said, let's take the shield, Sam. Let's take the shield and do this ourselves. And then I love this. We can't just run up, beat him up, and take it. It's like, do you remember what happened the last time we stole it? And Bucky's like, maybe. You know, it's like that friend, like, maybe.
I kind of remember what happened.
He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
But then this is the first time also that we hear mention of Sharon. Sharon is Sharon Carter, who helped them on how they went on the run for 2 years. And Sharon got branded enemy of the state. Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter. Mr. Carter. She is the daughter, or no, granddaughter of Peggy Carter.
I think
or
so.
No. That was her aunt. Because she called her Aunt Peggy. But she was the nurse that lived across the hall, quote unquote nurse from Steve.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one who helped him out in Civil War. And Sam's like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go back to being like that. So, you make it there?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just said there was a big yawn that built up there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not from lack of excitement, from lack of sleep. So, yeah, Bucky goes and sits next to Sam after this. Like,
maybe they're holding hands. Like, it was a support thing.
It could be. Like, hey, man, it's okay. Man, he's telling me there's somebody you should meet, and like he's sitting down, like he's wanting to say, like that goes back to like they don't like each other, they do like each other. There's some mutual respect that they're figuring it out again. Mm-hmm. And Bucky's like, I think there's somebody that you need to meet. And at this point, I thought he was talking about his therapist.
I did too. I didn't see this part coming. I've known about this storyline, but I didn't see this part coming.
And see, I thought this was something that I had forgot from the movies, and it wasn't. And so I'll let you talk about the significance of all this once we get here.
We'll get there.
They end up going to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
and they're walking down the street and sees little kid on the sitting on the curb, and he's like, "Hey, it's," he goes, "Hey, it's Black Falcon," and Sam's like,
"It's just Falcon Kid."
Yeah, it's just Falcon Kid. I love his line. He's like, "No, my daddy told me it's Black Falcon," and he looks at the kid, and he's like, "Well, it's just because I'm black and I'm the Falcon." And he's like, "Well,
he's like, "Yeah,
that's pretty much it." He's like, "Well, so what are you, like, black kid?" And his buddy was it his buddy that was sitting with him, just starts cracking up laughing at him.
Yeah. And the kid's like, he's like, "I got him right." He's like, "Whatever, man." So I think this is also a commentary on society. That part, like when you hear a superhero's name, you automatically like it's not the Panther, it's the Black Panther. And honestly, it's not because he's black, because that's the kind of panther it is. It's the Black Panther,
right?
That's who they worship in Wakanda, but that's not how like some people see it.
Marvel and DC does have a history. I mean, not as much anymore, but there were uses of that for certain superheroes. If they were black, then black was in the superhero name.
And we're about to dive into that here in a sec too.
Yeah. And so, where did you think did you know at this point, when they're in Baltimore and they're not in a great neighborhood, there's bars on the doors, no trespassing signs. Who did you think they were going to see? Did you have any idea at this?
I kind of thought that maybe that they were going to see, because they're looking at super soldiers, right? I thought maybe that this is total long shot, but it goes into a theory I have later. I thought maybe it was going to be Power Man or Luke Cage, because all those rights have gone back to Marvel.
Yeah.
And, there's rumor that Daredevil's in Spider-Man 3. So I'm like, maybe that Luke Cage is going to be introduced here.
I thought it was Steve alive and in hiding, living out the last of his years. It was? Because it's looking at the house and it's very, low key, very, inconspicuous and all that, and it's not big, it's not flashy. It looks like where Steve would want to live out the last of his years, out of the eye. I thought that's where they were headed. That's where they were at.
Okay.
At first.
So it turns out we were both wrong.
Yep. Happens a lot.
Kyle was writing away.
I was more rider than Chris.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally unintentionally.
Then this kid opens the door and is like, then Bucky goes, "We're here to see Isaiah." The minute he said Isaiah, I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah.
It was Isaiah Bradley. And once we see him here, I'll tell you.
Let's
why the Falcon is.
Yeah, let's just jump right at this. So the kid's not going to let him in. Kid's important too, supposedly, potentially.
Oh, extremely important. We'll talk about the kid here in a second, why he's important. It's his grandson. And he said, "Tell him it's the guy from the bar," and what'd he say?
Korea.
In Korea.
Yeah.
Goyang is here. He'll know what it means. And the kid shuts the door, and then he's like, "Nice kid, how do you know this guy?" Sam's talking to him. He's like, "I used to." He said, "We had a skirmish down during the Korean War." Again, I knew exactly who it was at this point. Next thing you know, the kid's opening the door, and we see the back of his head. And I go, "That's Carl Lumbly. That's Carl Lumbly." And Tasha's like, "Who?" And I'm like, "That's the Martian Manhunter's voice from Justice League Unlimited, the cartoons, and from the Geico commercials. The guy with the deep voice." She goes, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "I don't have a life." But I knew it was Carl Lumbly. So you come in. This is. He said he wanted to see him yourself. They go up and see him. This is Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley was the official, unofficial second Captain America after Captain America Steve disappeared. In the 40s, he was around for the Korean War. Why is this significant? Because this goes back to when the kid calls, I think the kid calls Falcon the Black Falcon.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Isaiah Bradley is known as Black Captain America. They never say Captain America. They always call him Black Captain America, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. But they always call him Black Captain America because the color of his skin. When in fact, he was Captain America.
Yeah.
So, Cap 2 here, the real Cap 2, he had a offshoot, a version of the super soldier serum. Not the same one that Bucky and Steve had in Red Skull, but an offshoot. And you look, and Isaiah was not happy to see Bucky. And he's like, this is Sam. Sam, this is Isaiah. He's like, he was a hero. He was the one that Hydra feared the most, like Steve. And we met in 51. In that, I thought that was interesting that Hydra, he was the second person that they feared after Steve.
Yep.
Which means this guy is amazing if Hydra feared him. And he's like, if you mean Matt, you mean I whooped your ass, then yeah. And he told him, I took half that. What'd he say? I see you got that metal arm back after I took half of it. They said, everyone they sent after Bucky never came back. And just the pure defiance in Isaiah's eyes this whole time, this stare. He said, I took half that metal arm, and see, he managed to grow it back. And he said, I just wanted to see if he got the arm back. I mean, that's the curiosity. He didn't want to see Bucky. He just wanted to see if it grew back or if he was there to kill him.
Yep.
And we're about to find out Cap 2, Isaiah Bradley, has a very, very, very tragic history. Like, this isn't what you would expect from a treatment of a hero.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not a killer anymore. It's like, you think you can wake up one day and decide who you want to be? And he's like, it doesn't work like that. And then he looks, and it's like, maybe it does for folks like you. And Bucky's trying to talk to him. The reason that we're here is because there's more of you and me out there. And then you can see Isaiah snap at that point. It's like, you and me. And we need to know how. And he's like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. And he picks up his I think it's a box of Mentos, the Fresh Maker, or Altoids.
Box. Yeah.
Yeah, an Altoids box. And he throws it. And it embeds itself halfway into the wall. And his grandson's looking down. So now that we know that this is Isaiah Bradley, I think we can safely assume that this is his grandson. I'm trying to remember his name now. Why can't I remember his name? Eli. I think it's Eli, isn't it?
I'm looking here.
I think it's Eli. Elijah. They call him Eli, I want to say. Anyways, he became where was it?
I'm looking for his name here.
Yeah, there we go. It's Eli. He was known as Patriot. He had a costume that was modeled after like his grandfather. So his grandfather didn't have the round shield. Cap 2 had the kind of triangle shaped one.
Yeah.
Like classic Steve. He's a member of the Young Avengers.
Okay.
So I think that's what I think they're going full force with Young Avengers here. Like this could be our next Avengers team, maybe. So we've already seen Tommy and Billy, Speed and Wiccan from WandaVision.
And this is all
They're part of-
616 canon.
This is all 616 canon. We know that they're part of it. We've met Elijah, who is Patriot. We've already met another Avenger, a young Avenger, except she was much, much younger in Phase 3. And that is Ant-Man's daughter, Katie, Kate Bishop. Or no, not Kate Bishop. Was it Bishop? Can't remember. But she became Stature. Booker. We know that what's her name? The girl from Ender's Game, Bumblebee and Pitch Perfect, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
She's playing basically Hawkeye 2 in the upcoming Hawkeye series.
Okay.
His replacement. We've heard that they've cast Riri Richards. Is it Richards or Richardson? Nah, I'm getting all confused. I'm confusing myself. But Riri, they've already cast her. She plays is it Heartbeat? I want to say her name is. I'm probably getting all these wrong. I need to look this up again. I'll get with you guys next week on it. But I think they're going full force with Young Avengers.
That's gonna be our next round.
Yeah. They've announced the show.
Well, that could be.
I don't know anything about it.
That could be a good setup for Wanda being the big bad at one point.
Yeah. So
old guard and new guard changing hands, and like, well, we need a new set of Avengers because the old ones have gone bad or died.
Yep. And we look. This is the first time. All we've seen is his head. Now they pan out and you see his, like, after he throws it. Isaiah is still just
he's
looks
a big
like
dude.
He's cut, under his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like that's the super soldier serum, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's in fit shape.
Yeah. He's still an imposing guy. He's a big fella.
Yeah. And this is where it's important that you get into the tragic history of Isaiah Bradley. You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years. So basically what they did to him was they put him into jail and they wouldn't let him out. And they experimented on him. They took his blood. They did all sorts of stuff. And why I think that this could be setting up for Luke, like I said, this is like far left field. Why it could be setting up for Luke Cage. Luke Cage's story is almost similar to this. He wasn't a hero at first, but they locked him up and they experimented on him against his will, took his blood. Like, how much you want to bet that, they make it canon that they gave some of Elijah's blood, or, they made a serum derived from that, from Isaiah.
Good.
I said Elijah, but
he gave himself an out to be able to do that.
Right.
That's the thing with Marvel. There's a lot of these little tidbits of things that come up that could be. They have all these could be's that happen, right? And they don't use all of them, but they have them there, and they do that strategically, I think, to be like, okay, well, if down the road we decide that or they may not even know what they may want to do with it, but they know that we write this way and we leave these things hanging out there, then we can always go back to them and pull from those to make things, just like what you're talking about with the serum. They may have not been thinking at the time, like, we can use this for Luke Cage, but we could use this for something, which could be Luke Cage, or it could be for, another batch of heroes, or it could be for this is probably how they got the serum to make the Flag Smash for superheroes or super villains, super soldiers.
So yeah, we're going to go over that because there is another part I'm waiting for us to get to go to some more backstory on this.
Let's push to that then, because I'm curious about that. So yeah, I mean, his okay, his story was tragic, and
That's
I haven't read
it's
I
bullshit.
haven't read the comics, but I read about the comics. This was interesting to me because this was a line still in the 616 universe that was not originally going. It became. Hold on, let me word this right. When this, we're getting
Words
there.
are hard.
Words are so damn hard right now. And so this was a run of comics proposed that was called, was it Truth or
He
anyway,
was reading the Madonna book Truth or Dare again.
Mm-hmm. So this run was originally proposed. It wasn't necessarily going to be 616 canon at first, but they said, you know, it's very important that this story is told this way, so they made it canon, and it came out like 2003 is when the run came, and a lot of the events in his backstory were, you know, influenced by real world events. What was it?
The Tuskegee Airmen.
Tuskegee, yeah.
The Tuskegee, not the Airmen, but the Tuskegee. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Tuskegee
experiments. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll fill in the gaps.
Yeah, so like this was stuff like, you know, these stories have been around for so long that this being in the comics, if something like, just like me, if I read like, okay, this is maybe a character that came out, you know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, because in my head that would make sense, and this is just somebody that they're bringing back in. Like, no, this is actually, you know, fairly recent within. You know, I say fairly recent in the last 20 years. Still seems fairly recent to me, but like, you know, he's a recent addition.
Actually, yeah, and
they actually did canon.
So there's been real world studies on this story, on Isaiah Bradley's story, and scholars have done this on Isaiah Bradley's story and the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, where they gave the Tuskegee syphilis without them knowing it, injected them. Like, terrible. This is fucking atrocious.
Yep.
Like, you know, a lot of people are bitching about the COVID vaccine, but these guys were getting shit pumped into them, and like syphilis. Terrible.
I want to go back and read this run now. I probably will.
It's a good run. It really is. And the boy's like, come on, let's go, man. And, you know, he's yelling, get out of my house. I thought this was a great performance by Carl. It was a great performance. And they go out of there, and you can see Sam is visibly shaken, like pissed. And he's like, Sam, you know, Bucky's like, Sam, he's like, why didn't you tell me about Isaiah? Isaiah, how could nobody bring him up? And this is really important too, this part. I think this is a direct reflection on our society today. This part right here.
Yeah.
They're walking in the middle of the street, and he's like, I asked you a question. I mean, they're raising their voices. And he's like, you know, why didn't you tell me about Isaiah? How could nobody bring him up? And Bucky's like silent. And he's like, Sam's like, I asked you a question, Bucky. And Bucky's like, I know. And I think Bucky at this point, I don't think he was trying to be a dick. I think he was just trying to figure out how to phrase it.
Yeah.
He goes, you know, Sam's like, Steve didn't know about him. He's like, he didn't. I didn't tell him. And it's like, so you're telling me there was a black super soldier a decade ago that no one knew about. And then, you know, in the background, you see this cop car, the stop sign moving. And then all of a sudden the siren starts whooping.
Yep.
And the officers get out, and they're like, hey, and Sam's like, what's up, man? You know, the cop's like, is there a problem here? Important to note, white cops.
Yep.
And this, you know, what we're assuming is a predominantly black neighborhood. We don't know, but that's what we're assuming right now.
Yeah.
And then the officer said, can I see your ID? And he's like, Sam's like, I don't have an ID. Why? And Bucky's like, man, you know, are you being serious? You can see this situation escalating. And they're like, you know, calm down. And he's like, what do you want? We're just literally talking. He's like, give him your ID. He's like, no.
Yeah. And Bucky's like, go on. You know, Bucky's telling him, go on. Like, it's nothing.
And then the two cops look at Bucky and go, is this man bothering you? literally they were doing nothing but arguing on the street,
Hmm.
and these two cops are taking Bucky's side.
Yep.
I think this is a direct reflection on our society today. I think that's where Disney was kind of going for it.
No, and Marvel's always done that.
They're not
and done
afraid
it
to shy away from that. Yeah.
for decades. I mean, that's the whole the whole run of the X-Men. That's thinly
Fighting
veiled social
against an
commentary.
unjust society. Mhm.
Yeah. It's there, and they've been doing it for a long time. They do a good job at it.
Right. And he's like, no, he's not bothering me. He's like, do you know who this is? And then the cop, I don't know if you noticed, but that one cop had his hand look like what it was over his stun gun or pistol.
It was on his
Just over his
left side,
jacket.
so it was on his stun gun.
Oh, stun gun. But it's important to note he had it ready to go. Just like there was no hostility going at all. And the other cop goes, hey, these guys are Avengers. And then the guy's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Wilson. Then he recognized it. And Sam is just like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, I didn't recognize you without the goggles. And Sam's disgusted. Like, I was disgusted about this part.
Mm-hmm.
And then up pulls another cop car for two guys who were raising their voices in the middle of the street. Like, I kind of thought at this point in time, they literally had walked out of Isaiah's house.
Yeah.
Like 15, 20 steps, would you say? And then
they
all
made
of a
about
sudden
halfway up the block.
The cops pulled up on him. Do you think that the cops scout out Isaiah's house? Or do you think these cops are just going around the neighborhood? Like
probably going around the neighborhood. I mean, it was a you can't assume that's a rough neighborhood, but you could see in the backdrop, I mean, there were buildings that were covered up. There were some looked neglected, abandoned, different things like that, and so they're going to patrol those areas. Not just I'm not saying that just because it's a black community. It's because you see that that's not a well kept
not an affluent
area
community.
Well, not affluent, not well kept. And I mean, like I said, there was tarps and things covering over buildings, and those are sometimes. I mean, I see it. Here where I live, and it's a predominantly white community, but you have a lot of abandoned, dilapidated buildings and things. And there's a lot of shady, sketchy shit that goes down in those old buildings and in the shadows and stuff. Even little small towns like we live in, so they're going to typically patrol those a little heavier.
Right.
Not defending the show of force and all that there. I mean, that stands to reason why they would be there that close and on standby. But they automatically assume Sam is doing something wrong. And that's the comment. They had the commentary that they wanted to make, and they made it there. Like obvious.
Well, and we're not saying EGTN is not saying cops are bad. No. We're not saying at all. Are any listeners out that are listening to us that are police officers? Thank you. We love you. But there's always those bad people in your profession that give you guys a bad name. And it's shit like that right there. Like, I work IT, and that's a profession where you typically have guys that can't talk to anyone and live in their mom's basement in their underwear all the time. And those guys give us a bad name. Those are the trolls on the internet.
Yeah.
You have that anywhere. And, Bucky's trying to tell him, I didn't tell anybody. Because he's already been through enough. So Bucky had noble intentions on this.
Yeah.
He wanted to protect him. And Sam's just disgusted. And they're like, Mr. Barnes, there's actually a warrant out for your arrest. And he's like, look, the president pardoned him. And then he's like, you missed your court mandated therapy. It's like messing in a check-in with your PO. And he's like, you're under arrest. And Bucky's just like, whatever. All right. They handcuff him.
You'd like to be the cop that has to arrest the Winter Soldier. And because they handcuff him, they put him in the back of the car. And then, you see him later, handcuffed in the cell. Like, that's that's really going to keep him from getting out if he wants to get out. These handcuffs.
Yeah,
Yes.
we know better.
This master, super soldier serumed up assassin. Yeah, these handcuffs will keep him. He'll stay in the
Next
back
thing
of this.
he'll be there. Then we see Bucky walking down the hall, and then we see Dr. Rayner again.
Mhm.
She's walking in. She goes, Sam, I've heard a lot about you. I'm Dr. Rayner. I'm James's therapist. And Sam's waiting for Bucky at the police station. Like, that's not something I expected to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah. They're looking out for each other. They don't want to admit it, but they are.
Yeah. And their connection's Steve is what it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, thank you for getting him out. And he's like, then you hear this, Christina, it's great to see you again. And, all these people are taking pictures, and there's Captain America. There's Walker. He's like, him? It's like, yeah, we did some field ops back in the day. And he said, I thought, I heard you're working with Bucky, so I thought I'd step in. And he said, Bucky's not going to be following your schedule anymore.
Yeah.
And
so he got what he wanted.
He got what he wanted. And she's like, who authorized this? We're not done. He's like, who authorized it? He goes, and he did this really, me, pointed at himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oops.
Yeah. Oops. Government.
Government.
Yeah.
Captain Government.
Captain Government.
And they're like,
Dick Agent.
He's like, whatever you do, send him off to me. We got some unfinished business. He's like, Wilson, you too. We got, I'll be outside. And then I like Dr. Rayner. I don't know why.
I do too.
I think she's just tough as nails.
Yeah.
And she's like, James, condition of your release session now. And then she looks and she goes, she didn't even look at Sam. Or no, she goes, you too, Sam.
Hmm.
And he's like, that's okay. I'll be out here with. And she goes, that wasn't a request. And you can see the cops just looking, that one cop just goes, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So they go back in and they're in session. And this has to be, I think this is probably my favorite scene out of this entire episode.
Yeah,
it's couples therapy.
Give him couples therapy. He calls Bucky Freaky Magoo.
They have to Freaky Magoo. They have to sit staring at each other with their legs in between their legs.
Like, she's like, get closer. They snuggle up really close together. And this is the part when I was watching my daughter. She's like, I want to see the outtakes for this. And like, there's no way that they could, because it was so serious and not serious at the same time. Like, they timed it right. Like, which way you want to go? Left, right. And they get in close and they're just walking again and stuff. Yeah.
It's because
anyway, but they're like they're right up
because they wouldn't talk.
Huh. And she's like, look each other in the eyes. I need you to look in the eyes.
Freaky Magoo. And they call it, what is it? It's the miracle question. And they're like, absolutely not. Of course not. Suppose that while you're sleeping, a miracle occurs. I didn't know what it was. When you wake up, what is something you would like to see that would make your life better? In my miracle, he would talk less, is what Bucky said. Mm-hmm. Exactly what I was going to say. Isn't that ironic? And she's like, leave me no choice. Soul gazing exercise. That's what it was called.
The soul gazing. That's where it was. And she's like, are you guys having a staring contest?
Yeah, that was the best. And she goes, will you guys blink? And I mean, they're getting right up on each other. Like, we're locked in. It's like, that's a little close. This is what you wanted? Mm. And like, no, look at each other. And they would not blink. This is literally my favorite scene out of the whole episode. I mean, this was a stare down.
Yeah. And that was the thing that we're just like, we want to see the outtakes of this. Like, I don't know how they could do it without losing it.
I don't know. You and I would have lost it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, James, what is something Oh yeah, she goes, just blink. She goes, sweet Jesus, and snaps at him. All right, she goes, all right, James, why does Sam aggravate you? And then Bucky looks over with this really shitty smile. And she's like, don't say something childish.
So it's like, yeah. And this is where, you know,
go ahead.
Bucky finally lets it out. Like, I mean, we've known that he was aggravated.
Right. Go on, I'll be right back.
Okay, so, you know, don't say something childish. And we've known, like, coming up to this point that Bucky was mad that he gave up the shield, but he finally lets it all out. And Sam is still trying to kind of deflect off of it. You know, what does it have anything to do with you? And this goes back to what Chris was saying. Their connection is Steve, and he is so mad because Steve trusted Sam. He said he trusted you. He gave you that shield for a reason. That shield is everything that he stood for, and you walked away from it. And excuse me. And so he was, you know, maybe that's what's wrong with you. So that you can see the frustration from Bucky, because he, you know, he almost looks like he's going to break down and cry. I mean, it's an emotional time for him that he just feels like his friend and his friend's legacy was just let down, and in a way, it kind of was. But you know, Sam asked him if he's finished. Like, you know, you got yours out, and Sam lays his thing out. It's like something that you or Steve maybe would never understand. And he said, he wanted them to accept that he did what he thought he was doing right. He wasn't doing it to downplay Steve's legacy. He wasn't trying to, you know, disrespect Captain America and the title and the man in any way, shape, or form. He was doing what he thought was right. And then, you know, they're done. They basically end the session right there, because they said, we got some serious stuff going on. They come to the mutual agreement, like, we're going to squash it because they have to work together, and, you know, we'll deal with it when it's done. But they wanted to, you know, Sam wanted to get that point across that, you know, maybe I just did what I thought was right, not just because of, you know, with no disrespect to Steve or the Cap title, and decided to squash it and go on, or say they're going to squash it and go on.
Everything Kyle has just said.
It was great stuff. It was great stuff.
I'm glad. Great stuff. I will fully admit I had a pee emergency, and Kyle shot me a text. He goes, I think you got something on your tooth. I apparently had some leftover dinner cabbage. that was the burnt part that was there. And I'm like, it looks like I'm missing a tooth. Like, I had to scrape that off.
Yeah, as we're like 3 minutes left in the episode.
You let me sit there the whole time with it on for 2 hours, dude.
I just looked, I'm not always looking right at your face. I'm looking over here, and I'm looking here, and I'm back over here, and I look like, oh wait, ooh, he's got a little something.
Oh, you're not? Oh, that's it. Staring contest. Go.
Oh, I guess I gotta look at the camera, don't I?
Yes. How we're gonna know? Oh, sweet Jesus. All right, what part did you finish up on?
They had, that's when Sam said, you know, let's move on, let's squash it. We have other things to more important things to take care of right now. And they walked out of the police station, and now they see, you know, Cap 2.0. He kind of fiddles with the sirens and the wee-woos on the cop car to get their attention. And
yeah, did Bucky already say that maybe Steve was wrong about me? Was this the part?
Yeah, it was after that.
Okay. So
yeah,
we're past that part then. Okay.
Yeah, when he said, like,
so again, you know, whatever Kyle said was right.
Yeah, I mean, basically said that, you know, Bucky finally let it all out of why, you know, he had let little bits out of why all this bothered him. He finally lets it all out that, you know, that he felt Sam disrespected his friend. He felt like, you know, just all that out. And why he feels like he does. And, you know, Sam was still pretty standoffish about it, but he, you know, I think he genuinely wants Bucky to trust him. Like, he did it because he felt that was the right thing to do. It was not as a disrespect to Cap or the name or any of that. Is This is,
Mhm.
he didn't feel right taking it, and he felt that, denying it was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And now we're outside.
And we're outside, and they're like, "Well, I feel better." Then we hear the siren whooping, and we hear "Gentlemen," and it's Cap 2 playing with the siren.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who else? Well, that's something you would never see Steve doing.
No.
I think there's that cockiness coming into play, like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Gentlemen, good to see you." And they're basically talk about, we stand a better chance if we work together, not divided. And you can almost see Sam's eyes roll into the back of his head, and he's like, "What do you got?" I think they finally admitted defeat.
Mm-hmm.
And they said then who Carly is, and they say,
they're geo-tracking
how'd they
them
find
and
it? Yeah.
delivering medicine supplies to basically like refugee camps.
They think.
They think.
Yeah. And various displaced communities all across Central and Eastern Europe. So we know it's over there
Mm-hmm.
to one of these camps. And there are hundreds of those all over the planet since the blip. So which means that there's all these damn refugee camps of people who can't get back into society.
Yeah.
Which makes you think, God, how terrible is this if they're not actually able to get back into society?
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder, who's right and who's wrong in this situation.
It's
for Bucky and Sam, they were able to get back because they knew who they were. But like, let's say if it was like a Chris or a Kyle.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be some hobo under a bridge, probably.
With a knapsack full of dreams and a pocket full of beans.
Mm-hmm. Dreams
Traveling
and
the
beans.
rails. Dreams and beans. But
yeah, it's not too bad, actually.
actually, that kind of that'd be less stress than our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "There's hundreds of those all over the planet since the blip. So I guess you have to look real hard." And I almost called him Steve. Walker's like, "Good thing I have 20/20 vision, huh?" Just kind of like
a little bit more of that cockiness coming out. Just little jabs.
And then if you look at Battlestar Galactica over there, he's kind of like, "Oh, he did."
Yeah. He's hype manning him from the side.
Yeah, he Flava Flav in it. He's like, "Well, where is she now, Walker? Do you know?" And then his voice gets higher. It's like, "No, we don't know, Bucky." I think he's through with the pleasantries at this point.
Yeah, he is. And
he's like, "It's only a matter," and you can see it in his face too, because before he was always smiling and like kind of the brows were up, like, "Hey, let's talk, let's be buddies."
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I bet Bucky doesn't make it easy.
Probably not. I mean, he's going to stare at him a lot, for one.
And it's like, "Things are really intense for you, aren't they, Walker?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that, I mean, you see it flip there on Walker. Just kind of like, "Who are you?" And it's like, "Take it easy. Look, Walker's right." Falcon steps in the middle, trying to de-escalate this. I think Falcon knows what they have to do at this point.
And right then, I thought that he was going to agree to work with him, 100%.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought, like, this is what we got to do. We got to do it. Complete the mission, kind of thing. But he throws the little wrinkle at him.
What did he say? He said, "You guys have rules of engagement and all kinds of authorizations you have to get." And then Walker kind of does this head thing. He's like, "Shit, you're right."
Yeah. And so
he's like, "We're free agents. We're flexible."
And Walker tells him, "Just stay out of our way then. Like, if you're not going to," how did he word it? "If you're not going to..."
a word of advice then.
Yeah.
"Stay the hell out of my way."
Yep. So now...
And
now
the showdown's
going to work
coming.
together. Yeah.
No.
They're not going to work together. They're going to cross paths a bunch, obviously. But they are 100% not going to work together. So you see the two factions that almost came, or the two pairs that almost came together. No.
Not going
to
Next thing you know, we are in Slovakia.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, Slovakia again.
Mhm.
And we're in Bratislava. Little known fact, home of the brat.
I don't think that's right.
Slavia.
I don't think
could
I don't the fact check somebody fact checking. I don't think
Nope,
that's
nope. Nobody fact check me. It's fucking right. Just take it take it at face value. Bratislava. Bratislava. That was, that's their national anthem.
Yeah, it's just one word, and then you see it very proudly. They're a proud people.
They're proud people of they're brats people.
Bratislavians.
Bratislavians. And they're a subsection of the Slovakians, like Wanda. And then, okay, here's where we're gonna get to a lot of our backstory too. And he's like, one of the guys, who is that? What's his name? Mortimer starts with the name. Matthias
without the H. Matthias.
Morty. We'll call him Morty. Oh jeez, Rick. They found us and she's like, how much time do they have? And it's like, none. It's the power brokers, men. Everybody grab while you can. Okay.
All right, fill us in. I know you're going to.
Here's our backstory. So you're welcome.
Well, I don't know. So I'm like, I want to hear.
So the power broker is the one who's responsible for John Walker's powers in the comic. There's been 2 iterations of the power broker. There's been one from like the 78, like late 70s, early 80s. And then there was the more current one, I think it's like 2008, something like that wore like a power suit. But the power broker was Curtis Jackson. And I'm looking at my notes here. He was a member of the corporation. And he basically tries to take control of all these heroes. He breaks off from the corporation. He forms the Power Broker Corporation, which hires Carl Malice. Dr. Malice he's a mad scientist. He's the definition of a mad scientist. What the power broker does is they augment people who pay for it to be superhuman proportions, give them superpowers, basically.
No, it's another thing
not for good purposes.
Okay, yeah. I'm just still thinking like Compound V and Bot.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of parallels. I mean, the boys took heavily from this kind of crap. So it's mostly a strength augmenting process, and it killed the majority of people or disfigured them or just, made them look just terrible. They drug them basically. And then what the power broker does is I forgot all about this. I had to read back up on this. And because this was a big story back in the 80s. It wasn't a big story, but they had a lot of issues on it. He started the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation, where you had to have super strength to be in the league. And US Agent was in it. The Thing from Fantastic Four was part of the league. Sharon Ventura was part of it. She was She-Thing. She ended up looking like the Thing. She's the only one who could grind rocks with Ben for a while.
Is that a euphemism or were you?
Yeah, that was total euphemism.
Euphemism. There we go. Euphemism. I said it wrong.
Euphemism. He's a bad dude. He's a really, really bad dude. And they experimented on Walker and Battlestar. And that's how they got their superpowers in the comics. Malice is a bad, bad dude. So what else is going on with this is, this is a very, very important note too. You find out that the power broker was one of the division chiefs, like way down the line for the Red Skull.
Ew. Okay.
So he's Hydra.
So, how would that work this timeline, though? With
I
Red Skull
don't
being
know
that
because
far back.
they just mentioned the Power Broker.
Yeah.
So it's depending on how they're going to pull the Power Broker in.
In the books, was he augmented at all? Was he just a normal dude that pulled strings?
He was a normal dude. He was a very smart dude.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up getting exposed to his own process that gave him superhuman strength, and it just made him just grotesque, like to where he couldn't move.
Okay.
So I forget what did they call himself? Where is it? Malice. Yeah, Malice was just a bad dude. I can't remember. There was something else about Malice. So I'm interested to see if Malice is going to be part of this. Like, he's the true definition of a mad scientist. I can't find my note on it. But yeah, so there was 2 versions of the Power Broker. And the Power Broker was the one who they did the superhuman experimentation.
Okay.
And Malice's formula was a derivative, I guess you could say, of the super soldier serum. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that's where they're going with this. Okay, going on.
I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon. So now we see M guy, Matthias. They're loading the stuff on the plane. Morty going, he's like, I'll stall him. Pushes the electrical pole over. They're loading the plane up because you have the convoy of vehicles approaching. Of course, it's black spooky looking vehicles. He pushes that down, goes and stands in the street. Kind of a cool little slow-mo epic scene with these masks on, wide-eyed and staring at him. He gives the rest of the group enough time to load up the plane and get gone before he just rushes them. And
this is such a stupid part. He pushes over the phone pole. He could have at least waited till they were there.
Could have waited what?
He could have at least waited till they were there and pushed the phone pole over on their car.
Yeah, he could have done that.
He did it well ahead of time, and he just ran at him, and they got shot.
Yeah. So we know bullets work against the super soldiers. They've been wasting all this time trying to punch each other. They just need fucking shoot them.
Just shoot them.
Game over.
Shoot them once. Shoot them.
Yeah, just shoot them.
Oh, I found my other note. So, Malthus, he experimented in the comics on Torres.
Oh, okay.
He experimented on Torres, and here's where it gets kind of freaky. I found this, going back to this real quick. Where is it? He was taking illegal immigrants for his experimentation, and he took Joaquin Torres, and he made a mistake because this is how he became the second Falcon. He basically grafted him with Red Wing's DNA. And so he became a human Red Wing, a human bird hybrid.
Oh, so he wasn't like a bird man. He was like a man bird.
He was a bird person.
Bird person.
He was bird person. Yeah. But he
a literal falcon.
A literal, well, okay, here's where it gets fucked up. You later find out that they were able to reverse the process on a lot of people, but they couldn't with Torres, because in the comic you come to find out Red Wing's a vampire, like a vampire bird, and so they couldn't be separated.
So he mutates him into a vampire bird that can't be reversed.
But no, he didn't. Like, Red Wing is a vampire falcon. Falcon. And he has he can regenerate. That's how come he never died in the comic. That's how they explained it.
This is how we get Blade.
Yeah, this is how we get Blade. But yeah, that's how it was. Okay, continue on. But I just thought that was an interesting tidbit.
That is actually really cool, though.
Yeah, but it's kind of messed up. Red Wing was a regenerative vampire.
Thanks.
Bird.
Bird.
Bird. Okay, go on.
Well, how'd you like to be on the meeting on that? Like, hey guys, we got to figure out how to make this work. Vampire bird. Really, Steve?
Steve,
you've been saying vampire bird for 10 years. Vampire bird, it works. You know what? Fuck it.
Okay.
Right. Vampire bird.
What happened?
That's what we're
What happened? Boss. Charlie just spilled coffee all over the storyboard. What do? We need something. Vampire bird?
Don't say it, Steve. You've been saying it for
And that's how it came to be.
That's exactly how it happened. Quote us.
Fight us.
Fight us.
Okay.
Damn it, Steve.
So yeah, he just rushes at him and they just demolish him. Like I seriously didn't get this part. This was the most anticlimactic thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I go grand opening, grand closing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And these guys get out. They're highly armed.
Yeah. Maybe it was special bullets.
They were rubber.
You guys shoot. I don't want to think it was just regular bullets that he got shot with and then died.
So I'm wondering if maybe it was kryptonite.
Well, then I got a little thing here. Maybe.
Okay,
there you go.
So next thing you know, this guy's like, they got away, sir. And then we see Bucky and Sam walking. And he said, when Isaiah said, my people, he's like, oh, don't take that to heart. That's not what he meant. I mean, Sam's thinking, it's not white people. He's not talking, don't take that. And he's like, no, he meant Hydra. Hydra used to be my people. And then Sam knows exactly what that means. He rolls his eyes. He's like, not a chance. He's like, Walker doesn't have any leads. And he's like, I know where you're going with this. That we're not doing this. And he's like, he knows all of Hydra's secrets. Do you remember Siberia? And then I knew at this point who he was talking about because of Siberia. Bucky knows him. And we saw his face mask at the end of episode 1.
Zemo.
Mm-hmm. They're going to go visit Zemo.
Doing a lot of globetrotting in this episode.
They are
Germany, back to the States, they go to Baltimore, and let's go to Siberia.
Yep. And it was really cool because then at the end, we see the cell and then there's the side profile of Zemo. Mm-hmm. And it's the same guy from Age of Ultron. So I like how Marvel does that.
Yeah.
They keep the same people, unlike DC. And then if we're looking at the end credits here, we see all, the kind of the broken walls and stuff. I don't know if you caught it where it showed Captain America and it says, and there's his Howling Commandos. There's the Howling Commandos there.
Did it show that on the last one?
I don't think it did.
Okay.
It might have. We just might have missed it. And then it shows Walker as Captain America.
Yeah, I did catch that.
Where was the other interesting one I caught? And then there is, what was her name? Carly. What's her?
Butafuoco.
Huh. Whatever. And then we see the monkey with the Singaporean writing. And if you look real close again, you can see Matapor. They're going to Matapor. I'm wondering when this is going to play into effect. And then there was something else that was in here that I saw. I'm trying to find it again.
You can see some of the serum.
Yep, the serum, which is important. There's There's Red Wing. Oh, rest in peace, Red Wing.
Yeah,
but then
they have the technology. They can rebuild him.
They can rebuild him. They just don't want to spend a lot of money.
Mhm.
And then, right there, you see a picture of Isaiah with subject and his subject number. And just, like it's a ripped piece of paper. It's an examination log.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was just kind of important. And then there's a picture of Sam. I didn't know, there wasn't as many Easter eggs in this ending one as I thought there would be. Where's the other one? Yeah, like Kyle said, the serum's there. There it is. And if you look, Power Broker is watching above the serum.
Oh, go back to that. I missed that. So yeah, this Friday is going to be exciting. I'm really curious to. What's your? Let's do some little fun thing. What do you predict is going to happen in the next episode?
I wish I could tell you. Predictions. I think they're going to meet up with Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to. I think they're going to have to strike a bargain with the devil. We've
Mephisto?
seen Zemo's mask with Mephisto. I think that they're going to have to do something with Zemo. We know we've seen Zemo's mask. Zemo's going to get out somehow. I'm wondering if to get this information, they're going to have to let Zemo out.
Maybe. I mean, and that may have been alluded to a little bit earlier with when Sam tells him, we're a free agent. Like you guys have rules of engagement and these things, and we're free agents. We don't have to.
So I think that there's only 6 episodes. I think the 4 are going to come to blows.
Yeah.
I'm going to say towards the end of episode 3.
Mm-hmm. They're going to have to fairly quickly. Yeah.
So I have a feeling towards the end of episode 3, we're going to get our fight scene.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Torres is going to get captured somehow, because he seems to not follow the rules. And I'm wondering if somehow he'll become the new Falcon. I think that Sam will become the new Cap at the end. And I think that the Flag Smashers may end up not being as bad as we think they are. I mean, they're bad.
I'm with you. I don't think they're going to be as bad as we think they are. I think we're going. I'm going to kind of hang with my, just for the sake of it, hang with my theory that they're also kind of being backed by, new Captain and Battlestar, in a way, pushed through one way or the other, either directly or, like you said, off their connections with Power Broker. Maybe that's how that's how Walker got his powers, his off the chart strength.
And Battlestar.
And Battlestar, who held his own very well as well. I mean, he was doing pretty good in that fight too. And they're gonna maybe find out that they were pawns in some game, in some bigger hierarchy scheme.
I'm wondering if we're going to see this underground wrestling league. And I'm going to call it right here too. I'm going to go and say that John's going to be an anti-hero like he is in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're going to bring him into, I don't think this will be the last we see of him.
This series?
Not the series, but I'm saying like in the MCU Phase 4 in general.
Right. Yeah. Like, you don't think he's not going to get killed off. They're not just going to end the character at this. He's going to have some role to play later.
I think he's going to have a bigger, because I think he's going to have he has a higher purpose.
And it could be, is in one of the movies that hasn't even started yet. It's in, being written. Like this could be testing out. See, like, do we want to, how does Walker resonate with the audience?
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets a enough reception, not necessarily positive or negative, as the good guy or the bad guy or whatever, enough that, we can bring him back into the storyline. Or if he's ends up being a bunt character by the end of this series, then we may not see him anymore.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering too if I don't know. It's like this has got me guessing, but we know we're going to see Sharon again. She's been in the ending credits. I'm just wondering in what capacity. Because she's a pretty major character. She really is. Like, I want to say she was acting director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a little bit. So
we'll see. A few days away from another one. So
I know. So with that, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let us know in Discord.
Join the Discord down below. There's a link for it.
Down below.
Click it. Agree to the rules. Get your role assigned so you can join in the conversations. Not just this, with all the other fun, cool, nerdy things that we talk about. And so don't think we're just Marvel stuff. It's the hot thing right now, and this is what we like, and that's what we're going to talk about. But we do have other episodes and things coming out that and lined up that are outside of this that I think you guys enjoy. And we have some in the past that we've already done. So you'll see some more of those. But yeah, if you want to get in those conversations, if you got something that you think would be fun for us to cover, whether let us know. You think that, hey, these guys might know something about this, or these guys know jack shit about this, and we want to hear them stumble their way through it. Put the suggestions out there. Let us know. We'll do it. Mm-hmm. We're not above it.
So with that, I know Kyle's tired. I'm tired. We're not going to do our typical, what did you learn this week? What are you watching? What are you reading? Because this is the Nerkie. Normally we would.
I'll be watching the back of my eyelids here in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, me too. So we'll do that for our next episode. Our next episode will be regular episode, not a Nerkie. It is a Nerkie, but it'll be not a bonus episode. It'll be a full episode. We'll call it because, again, Kyle and I are both going to be busy this next week or two. So frankly, we're only going to have time. Yeah, we're only going to have time to get one episode in.
So that'll give you guys time to catch up on stuff you haven't listened to yet.
So yeah, listen to the rest of our stuff. Episodes 1 finally got past 69 listens. We're at 70 now. I want to hit 71. So, someone go re-listen to it. Just so I can hit 71. So with that, everyone, this has been everyone. See, I've already messed up. This has been Every Man's Guide to Nerddom. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kyle. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good night, morning, day, wherever it is where you are, and be good to each other. Bye.
Bye. Boop.
And Nerd Corker, rise up. It could get elevated. Nerd Corker, rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away from belief. Rest assured they sleep hard.